Hey, what's going on, people? This is James on his Tuesday night call-in show. I thought we'd try something a little different tonight because normally we have the conversations about difficult parents and, kids having to break free. So I thought, why not talk about the entire subject matter? Why not address both sides of an issue? Because that's what I like to do. But before we get too far into it, I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to kind of see the post and then make their way into the lobby. So, per usual, we're going to play a little bit of music until we get started. Once we kick things off, I'm going to go through my thoughts and then we're going to open up the phone lines and allow you guys to give your thoughts. So, here we go.
Could be watching chefs burn pots in the kitchen or influencers fake fights for attention. Drama queens with crowns, but no conviction. But now you're here, my addiction. Could've clicked that prank, that mukbang feast, or streams of gamers slaying beats. But you're here with me, not scrolling free, not lost in streams or reality. You're here with me where you wanna be, out the algorithm, just you and me. Could be watching cats knock glasses down, or a dude trying to stunt, stressed as a clown. DIY hacks turn smiles to frowns, but you're vibing here, no fakes around sound. This ain't unboxing or ASMR, no clickbait titles, no rented cars. Realest channel in your repertoire, stay tuned, superstar. But you're here with me, not scrolling free, not lost in streams or reality. You're here with me where you wanna be, out the algorithm, just you and me.
All right, we are back. Welcome to the show, everybody. Rosemont Harris, what's going on? Jody Periscala, Ann Lang, Negla 3, what's going on? Hopefully, everybody's having an awesome week. Again, this is a subject matter that I thought I'd touch on for those that noticed the title and the live and the description and all that. I know some of you are like, James, what are you doing? Parents can never be upset with their kids. Kids are awesome. And this is where, I started thinking about it. Because again, like we talk all the time about the need for kids to maybe protect their sanity, protect their peace by separating themselves from toxic parents or controlling parents, people who are trying to manipulate them or control them or have dominated them for years, have maybe mistreated them. I can't say the A word, but these different types of things and these different types of relationships. And I respect the fact that that does happen. And there is a need in some cases for kids or even adult kids to separate themselves from their parents out of their own protection. Hands down, I understand that. But here's the thing, folks. There's so much information. There's so many people pushing the narrative that, these evil parents are doing these things to these kids. And, whoa, we got to protect the kids. And sometimes I got to step back and just go underdog. Or as Carmen Cute say, I got to play devil's advocate. And I can say, what about the parents need protection from the kids? I've always said that, look, when push comes down to shove, jerks and assholes don't just grow out of nowhere. They don't grow on trees. Sometimes they come from normal, polite, beautiful families. Great parents have jerks. Normal people have narcissist children. So when we have these situations where these kids are taking advantage of their parents, maybe they're manipulating their parents, maybe they're lying to their parents or taking advantage of their parents, do the parents have a right to say, you know what, that's it. I'm done with it. I can't keep pouring into you at the cost of myself. Or even if we think about it, sometimes it's not even the parents saying it's costing me. It's the parents saying, I'm looking at my other children And I've poured so much into you because you've always come to me with problems, issues, uh, emergencies. And every time you've come to me with these things, I've stopped everything that I had going on, even if it was involving my other kids, and I focused on your stuff. And when I focused on your stuff, as soon as, like, especially when you're dealing with people with narcissistic tendencies, as soon as you start turning a corner, right, you get them out of the emergency state where things are like blowing up and falling apart and like, fires falling from the rafters. Oh, it's all over. Oh my God. Right. As soon as that's over and they see a way out of it, all of a sudden they turn, stop, cut everybody off, and they take all the credit for their thing. I've never met somebody who, I won't say narcissist, but I've never met somebody who's displayed those tendencies that at some point didn't take ultimate responsibility for all their successes, but always found a way to pin all their failures onto somebody else. Oh, it's my parents' fault that I didn't succeed a whole bunch, or I'm not where I want to be in life, et cetera, et cetera. But as soon as they get a good job or they have that promotion at work, oh, I'm self-made. I did this all myself. But even in this case of like some parents, you'll have parents who are making these sacrifices for the kids. And what I've noticed is that you'll have parents who are making sacrifices for the kids who are in need, right? The kids who are it's all about them. And in some cases, it's at the detriment of their other children. Because their other children aren't creating problems. They don't have issues. They don't have these emergencies. So because they don't have these emergencies, they kind of get shuffled to the back. They don't, the parents aren't necessarily worried about investing that time, energy, and attention into them because they're spending so much time trying to put fires out with these other kids. So if that's the case, and you notice that not only are you making these sacrifices, you're asking your kids to make these sacrifices, but then the child that you're making the sacrifices for looks you in the face and says, "You've done nothing for me ever. You're a horrible parent. You don't meet my needs. You don't do anything to make me happy." And they tear you down and everything else. Do you have a right to say, "You know what? That's it. I'm no longer going to feed into this foolishness, and instead I'm going to reassign my resources. I'm going to give to the kids who've been ignored. I'm going to give to the kids I've looked over and looked past because I was trying to deal with you." And not to mention, like, when I know it's easy to say that, like, treat parents like they're superheroes, but I think there's also a point where we have to look at parents and recognize that they're people too. Not only are they people, but they're people who are trying to figure parenthood out. Because I remember when I had kids, nobody came to me and said, "Here's your parent ownership manual, your child ownership manual. Just follow chapters 1 through 5 up until the time they're about 4 or 5 years old. Then go each chapter per year. The instructions are laid out." There are no instructions. In fact, every kid that you deal with, every child that you have, and every child that you deal with is going to be different. So the needs and things that one child has will not be mirrored by another child. They may be similar, but the things that are important for one child, the things that one child needs maybe work on or attention to, is not shared necessarily by their sibling, even growing up in the same household. So there's no book. So parents are trying to figure this out as well. And then for some reason, we've gotten to a point now where I think some parents, again, I recognize there are horrible parents, just like I recognize that there are some cases horrible kids, you know. But I think like parents are kind of washed with the idea that somehow they have to be perfect and that they have to provide a perfect childhood for their children. And I don't think that exists. And I'm just trying to be fair here. Like, I'm not saying that, kids because even with the poll question, let's go to the poll question actually. Um, the poll question, uh, should parents have the right to go no contact with their adult children? Right? 6% of you said no, never, never can a child be left alone. Parents just gotta suck it up. Then of course we had 33% of you said only in extreme cases. Only in extreme cases where I guess the kids are bonkers, bongos, uh, bananas. Uh, then of course we had 56% that said yes, absolutely. And here's my question. For the people who say 6% of you that said no, never, parents can't ever go no contact with their kids, does that go both ways? Does that go both ways? Meaning, can a parent treat a child any way they want, and that child absolutely cannot go no contact? Is that what we're saying? That, like, in families, everybody must be forgiven. All things must be forgiven. And that's where that's kind of where I'm asking the question. I'm not even like, I don't know if I even have a really rock hard opinion on this yet, but I think that it's a conversation worth having. Because like I said, there's a whole huge TikTok and YouTube thing where, kids are bragging about how they had to go no contact with their parents, which I understand. In some cases, especially if you hear some of the stories, like, of course you had to go no contact. Did you go no contact? Of course you went no contact because this person is a lunatic, right? But then at the same time, I listen to some parents and they're ashamed. Like, parents have a certain level of shame because they try to take responsibility, ultimate responsibility for all the trappings and failures of their children. So if the relationship is a failure, they take responsibility for it. If their child isn't doing as well in life as they hoped or they think they should, they try to take responsibility for it. You know what? I gotta put the hold on one second. I want to put the um yeah, there we go. Wanted to put the chat in the on the screen. But parents try to take responsibility for those failures. And I understand that because to a point, I guess you are technically, you do have a hand in it because you helped to raise that child. But my mother and my father, when I was a very young man, sometimes they would be, not to, I guess it's a humble brag, I guess, but they would be complimented on how well they raised us, kids or whatever. And my mother said something that I felt was very insightful. And I carry this to this day for myself when I talk about my kids. She was giving credit for us being the people who we are. And what my mother responded to those people was, they are who they are. I'm helping to shape them. And yes, I'm helping to guide them, but they are the people that they are. Right. And I say the same thing about my kids. Like, my kids are awesome people. Like, I think my kids are awesome people. Like, I mean, they're good people. So it's not just the fact that, oh, they're my kids and they're amazing. Like, I think they're genuinely good people. Sometimes sometimes because I could be a little petty. Sometimes I think they too good. But I think they're awesome people. And I don't know if I can necessarily take credit for them being the people that they are. Yes, I give them opportunities to express themselves, maybe to develop, to grow, and to expand on something that was already set in them. But I didn't necessarily place that thing in them to make them good people. Because there are great parents, and this is the point I wanted to hit. Like, there are great parents who have awful children. There are great parents, intact homes, nuclear family, a dog, a cat, pets, fish, the whole nine, suburban home, picket fence, the 2 luxury cars, 1 SUV, 1 minivan, BMW, Mercedes, whatever, good money coming into the house, no fuss, no muss, no problems. And the kids can't stop messing up. They go to jail like it's some kind of gym program, right? Like they just trying to get in shape. I just want to go away for like a year, so I'm gonna go to jail. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a vacation thing. Like they just can't stop themselves. Or they get mixed up with substance abuse or other things which could be uh detrimental to their life and lifestyle moving forward and their opportunities. Am I supposed to look at the parents and be like, well, that's your fault? Right? People have to, I think at some point kids have to carry their own water. Like there's only so much a parent can do. A parent can guide you. A parent can teach you that there are choices in the world. But the one big thing that I think we can't escape is that parents can't make decisions for you. The kids make decisions. And especially if they're adult children and they grow up in a way where, whatever influence they fall under or, whatever it is causes them to become selfish or self-concerned or self-absorbed. At some point, a parent may have to look at themselves and say, you know what, I can no longer feed into this. That also brings up another question. Because in your desire to stick around and be around and stay around, what lesson are you teaching them? If you teach them no matter what you do, how you treat me, no matter what you say to me, no matter how much you come into my house and you steal and you take, I will always leave that door open and you can always come back. We'll pretend like nothing has happened and everything will be great. What have you taught them? That the world will forgive them? That they can they can go through life and they can treat people like this? When they get married, can they do the same thing to their spouse or significant other and demand that level of loyalty? So I think that like the term cutoff, like I take, like even in my personal relationships, even when I was younger and I was dating people or friendships, I always took it very serious when I told people that, I'm no longer going to be around for you, or I'm not going to be there for you, or, in the case of romantic relationships, we're breaking up. Like I didn't just throw that out because it was a Saturday night and we had a disagreement. I want to go down to the to Fat Burgers. I want to get some ribs. Well, bitch, I'm break up with you. Like I never did that because I think that's stupid. Right? I think that's stupid. When you just breaking up with people and making up with people, break up to make up to break up to make up to break up to make up. I think that's dumb. I think it prepares them for you to be absent. I think that prepares them to get their mind around the fact that you're not going to be there. I think it gives them that inclination that you're not serious about the relationship. So if I broach the issue of we no longer need to be together, I'm very serious about it. I take it very serious. Right. And like, same. I think that if you're going to cut somebody off or you're going to separate yourself from someone, I think you should take that very serious. I don't think this is a topic that you play around. Oh, I'm gonna go no contact with mom and dad because they don't want to buy me a car or they don't want to do something for me. So I'm gonna go no contact. Like I think when you decide to go no contact, it's because of a very serious issue and a very serious reason. And I think that you have to take that into account as to why you're going no contact. And then when you go no contact, you recognize that this no contact may be permanent. This may not be a no contact for like 2 months and then I'm going to call you back because you're dealing with another person and you're dealing with another person's feelings. Like if somebody said to me that they didn't want me around or they don't appreciate me being around, then I don't know if I'm like, once I get used to you not being around, like it's going to hurt when people say that they don't want you around. It's going to hurt. But once I get through that pain, it's very unlikely that I'm going to volunteer myself to go back through that discomfort again. It's very unlikely that I'm going to allow that pain to affect me twice. So so just in my position and my perspective, the chances that I'm going to be okay with you just coming back and I'm going to let you back in is very unlikely. And when I say unlikely, probably not going to happen. I don't want you around, James. You ain't did nothing for me. Okay, cool. I don't beg people to be around. I don't beg to go to parties. I don't beg to be invited places I'm not wanted. I don't beg to have friendships where people don't want to be my friend. And I don't beg to have relationships with people who don't want a relationship with me. It just works out better. Yeah, it hurts. And because I'm not a machine, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and volunteer myself for that level of pain and discomfort. Oh, we had a super chat come in. Let me see. We had a Jody Periscala with the $49.99 super chat. If you remember my story, my dad decided no contact. He chose because of shame, and it's been over 20 years. He doesn't know how to start it. Yes, I am feeling very betrayed. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. People are going to make decisions for themselves, and I appreciate what you're saying, Jody. Like, people are going to make decisions for themselves. And from what I remember of what you were saying about like your upbringing and how you came up, Jody, like, to be honest with you, like the wrong person may have called for the no contact order. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when people break away from you, you can see things as a curse and it's something that's happening to you, or you can see this as a blessing. Not everybody who is in your life is meant to be in your life. And not everybody who is who has been placed in your path, that doesn't mean that they've been placed in your path sometimes for a reason, right? And it doesn't mean that person come over this way. Take this down for a second. It doesn't mean that person is there permanently, right? Some people are there to teach you something, show you something, give you some lesson, and then they're supposed to be gone. There are people who are going to be in your life. One of my favorite sayings is there are people who come into your life for a season. There are people who come into your life for a lifetime, right? And there may be people who come into your life very temporarily, like the seasons. People come in and they're around for a few years, and there are people come in and they're there for a lifetime. And it's just a matter of you recognizing that not everybody is supposed to be around you. Not everybody is entitled to your presence. Not everybody is deserving of having you around, especially people who don't appreciate what you contribute to their lives. If somebody can turn around and walk away from me and say that they don't want me around, because what that tells me is you have no value for me. You don't value my contributions, whether it's, financial, or whether it's supportive, like emotional support, or whatever the case may be. You don't value me. And if you don't value me, at some point I have to value myself enough to recognize that I shouldn't waste time on people who don't value me. There was a little thing that was running around the internet that I kind of like, where there was one young lady, she had graduated college, and the father, he wanted to teach her a lesson. So she graduated college, he wanted to teach her a lesson. He said, "Baby, I'm going to give you my classic car. I'm going to give you this car." And she looked at it like, "That car is old as hell, Daddy." He said, "Here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to do anything with it, but I want you to take it to this guy who is he works at a junkyard, and I want you to ask him how much this car is worth." She did it, took it to the junkyard. Car, The guy looked at it. He said, "Yeah, I'll give you about $200 for this car. It's old. It's not really technologically advanced. I get it. I'll take it off your hand for $200." She took it back to her dad, told him what the price was. Dad said, "Okay, here's what I want you to do. Take it over to this car dealership and tell them that you want to sell the car, and let me know what they say." So she did that. She took it over to the car dealership. The car guy looked at it. He said, "Look, I can get you in a great little something, something. All you got to do is trade this in. We'll give you $2,000 on your trade." So all of a sudden she went from 200 to 2,000, depending on what the guy was going to do. And he was going to hit her with a big ass bill in the form of a brand new lease or finance deal. She took it back to her dad, said the same thing. "Dad, this guy said to give us 2,000 for the car." He said it ain't really worth too much because it's old. It's got some miles on it. Dad said, okay. Here's what I want you to do. Take it to this last and final guy. And it's a group of people. And they took it down to she took it to the group. And it turned out it was a car club. They saw the car and they started flipping out. They said, "Oh my goodness, this is a Nissan. This is one of them old cars. They only made so many of these. This is a limited edition." And right there on the spot, people started offering her $200,000 for the damn same car. And what that lesson is supposed to teach you is that if you're around people, first and foremost, don't waste your time with people who don't value you. Because some of the people who don't value you don't recognize or know your value. They don't know how valuable you are. They don't understand it. They don't know how generous, kind, forgiving, supportive, loving you are and what you could add to their lives. They don't appreciate it. Right? They're not used to good stuff. That's why we can't have nice things. They're not used to it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the first thing. The second thing, be around people who do understand what your value is. When we talked about, originally we started the channel and we were talking about sister wives, right? And there was a concept that just kept coming up. Like Cody Brown had abandoned his 3 wives for the new thing, the new young lady, new Slim Dim, right? Because he wanted to get that chimichurri from the young tenderoni. And one of the things that I've often said, especially early on, is that the problem that I have with Cody is that he just doesn't appreciate the thing that he had with these other women, because these other women were the ones who stuck with him. These were the women, his new wife is in love with him because he got a TV show and he was promised to be on TV and he was going to make lots of money. So when she was sleeping with him, she was sleeping with a guy who was prospectively going to be a rich guy. What about these women who were sleeping with a broke dude? These women who were treating a broke dude like he was the king of the castle. These women who were supporting him and making him feel like he could actually do more and be more. Those women, he didn't see value in. He didn't see value in the people who were taking care of him and supporting him. But instead, he saw value in somebody who just saw him as a resource. So it's not just the fact that, when you're making these sacrifices for people and you're trying to be that good person, we have to take ourselves, and this is one of the things that I struggle with my kids. That's why I say they're good people. When we are making sacrifices for people and doing kind things for people and being nice to people and trying to treat people the best way we possibly can, because we want to treat them the way that they hopefully will treat us one day, we have to recognize that there are people out there, and this goes both ways, parents and children, who will take and take and take and take and take from you. They will let you make sacrifices. And when it comes down to it, they never recognize what you sacrificed, how much you gave or gave up in order to provide for them. They'll never appreciate that. And they'll never recognize it. And more importantly, they'll never value it. And because they never value it, they don't really have value for you. But that doesn't mean that if you do the same thing for somebody else, they won't value it. The craziest thing to me is that you could have somebody who grows up in a household, they take their parents for granted, and the parents will always be there. The parents will always do for them. They just take them for granted, and they will turn around and call their parents dumb, stupid, hover, what they call them, helicopters, and oh, they just always in my business, etc., etc., etc. Then you take those same parents and you look around somewhere in that same community, there's a child who would say, you know what, I wish I had somebody who would just simply ask about me, where I'm at, what I'm doing, who I'm hanging out with. I wish I had somebody who would be concerned about me. So in essence, they're saying that they wish they had the type of parent that this other person is complaining about. And that's where I come in with the whole notion that sometimes when you hang out with people and you're dealing with people, they just don't understand your value. It's not that you're not valuable. It's just that the people that you're dealing with don't understand how valuable you are. And in the case, Jody, when you're talking about your dad had decided to go no contact 20 years ago, there's a possibility he just doesn't understand you. And the reality of it is he may never get to a point where he really understands you. I hope that helps. Let's get some hearts in the chat for Jody Periscala. She's always sharing, things about herself and being courageous in the moment and talking about things that are very sensitive and vulnerable. And I want to give her some hearts in the chat. Thank you guys so much. This is for you, Jody. Then we had a Negla 3 back in the cut once again with the YouTube membership. Oh shucks. Saturday about to be off the hook again, y'all. All right, let's get those back up. Yeah, I just think that that's important. Like we just gotta, as we go through things, we just want to make sure we recognize that we are, life is so short. Like, guys, I gotta tell you, life is so damn short. Life is short. Like, I remember like yesterday, I was, 15 years old, ready to take the world on. I remember like it was yesterday when I was 17. Well, actually 15, learning to drive, 16, 15. I think I got my license at 15, 16. Right. Get my license. Ready to start being an adult, ready to start adulting, 18, graduating, high school, going to college and all that. I remember all that stuff, man. It seems like yesterday. And now, like, you turn a corner and you recognize the fact that you have, way more life behind you than you have ahead of you. And I'm here to tell you, life is too short for you to be around people who don't appreciate you. And for you to constantly put yourself in a situation where you have to beg people and ask people and beg people to appreciate you and value you and recognize what you're doing for them and how you're contributing to their lives. Life is way too short for that shit. And the ironic part is there are so many people out there who would love to have somebody in their life doing the exact same thing you're doing. Like I said, when we talked about like the whole sister wives thing, these women sat, chased, begged, trying to prove to Cody like how much I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna show him how much I love him because then he gonna recognize that. But the whole thing with like these types of emotion, logic has nothing to do with it. Logic has nothing to do with it. So you can't reason your way into somebody's heart. You can't reason your way into being appreciated. And this is parent or child. As a parent, I can't reason if my kids are selfish jackwagons. I can't say to them, guys, you don't understand what I gave up in order for you to exist. What I gave up so that you could go to prom, so you could go on school trips, so you could go on, you could go with your friends and be able to spend money and not have to worry about things. Every day you came in there, name one time you came into this house and you didn't touch that wall, flip that switch and the lights didn't come on, or you walked over to the refrigerator and that refrigerator wasn't full. Right? You can't name one damn time when that happened. But you don't know what I had to go through in order to make that situation what it was. I didn't sit here and talk to you about, oh, they about to turn these lights off, son. I got to figure it out. Christmas time come around. I didn't sit around and tell you about how much I gave up and what I had to do to make Christmas happen or Thanksgiving happen. That's not what I did, because that wasn't for me to put on you. But these are things that parents around the world do every day. They're making all kinds of choices. They're going without things. There are parents who go without meals. They go without eating to make sure that their kids are eating. You know what I mean? Like, I remember my kids is coming up, dude. I had shoes in my closet. They were older than like both my kids put together, right? You know what I mean? And I made sure that you had stuff that fit and was working and it was nice. That's the kind of stuff you do as a parent. And if you have kids that don't, like, they grow up, and I understand like teen years can be kind of rough. Everybody kind of smelling themselves and feeling themselves. But as kids get older and you don't snap out of that shit, and you don't recognize all the stuff that, like, when you actually, especially as an adult child, when you're a child, you grow up and you become an adult and you start lifing, and you don't recognize like how, you don't ask yourself, because I had that moment. I had that moment as a young man. Like I said, I remember back when I was a young man. I had that moment when I was, you out there life. I'm like, I don't know how the hell my parents did this shit. This is crazy. How did they do it? Not only did they do it, they made it look easy. They made it look easy. They like, we wasn't rich, like, especially looking back on it, we wasn't rich, but I never went without. They made it look easy. And I had to stop. I remember going to my parents one time, like, because my parents were a little more strict with some things, especially like curfew times and things of that nature. And I was so mad when my parents used to tell me I had to be in at a certain time. All my friends get to hang out whenever they want, come home whenever they want. It's ridiculous. I got to come home early, blah, 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 blah. But when I got older and I started contacting some of the people that I was hanging out with, or I started seeing people who were in like or similar circumstances and the outcomes that they were having because of those circumstances, I had to stop one time. I remember the conversation when I went to my parents, like, I have to thank you. I have to thank you, because I recognized that I was being a little snot. I was being a jerk. And I was so angry and I was so mad, and I was being, big bad James, I'm so frustrated. You guys can't do this to me. I'm almost a grown man. I'm 17 years old, 16 years old. I'm a grown man, right? Never said that to them, though, because I grew up old school. But, you walk around with your little attitude, chip on your shoulder, because you feel like they holding you back. But then you realize when you get older, the life lessons that they were trying to instill in you, the wisdom that they were trying to impart to you, and you have to be thankful. You have to be appreciative of that. Like, I don't expect parents to be rewarded and celebrated every day, especially when kids hear things that they don't want to hear. When I talk about like no contact and things of that nature, what I'm talking about is just the aggressive overall, aggravated sense of lack of appreciation, lack of recognition, lack of respect, lack of loyalty, lack of care and affection that parents deserve. So it's just one of those things. Like, I think that parents have, parents sometimes get a bad rap because, again, I'll open up the phone lines. Parents sometimes get a bad rap because they're supposed to be the bastions of always forgiving, eternal forgiveness. No matter what the people do wrong, the kids do wrong, you got to forgive them because they're your kids. You got to make sure that they, love them to the end of time and all that good stuff. And to a point, I agree with it. But at the same time, I recognize not everybody's equally yoked. Not everybody's in the same situation I'm in. Some people have to deal with horrible people, because I remember, like, even with, because my parents were very open with us, and we had very clear conversations. And I distinctly remember having a conversation with my mom, especially when the whack, if you put a CR in front of whack, explosion happened. Like I'm that old. I remember when whack came out and people was getting wacky. And my parents would explain to us like what this is, and you can't, this is like absolutely, we don't want you to experiment with anything, but you definitely can't experiment with this because this is going to change you, and you're going to be a whack addict, that kind of stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember my mom looking at me and saying, when you're on this and you become one of these type of people, because my parents, like me, they were around. They've been around all kinds of people and things. My mom worked at the job she worked at. Spent a lot of time with different types of folks. And she said, the last thing I want in this world is to hear you ringing the doorbell. You'd be on my steps. I'll go over there and look through the blinds, see it's you, and can't open that door because I can't let you into my house because I don't know what you're going to do. And I never forgot that. You understand what I mean? Because there's certain things you get involved with, your best intentions, it will change you. And whack was one of those things, especially growing up. When I was growing up, whack was one of those things that changed people. So they didn't start out thieves and all that, but they would do whatever they needed to do to get their fix of whack. I just keep saying whack. I'm sorry. And that's just kind of how it went. So, but I remember my mom saying that, like, one of the worst things for a parent is to look outside and see their child standing out there and say, you know what, I can't open this door for you. Or I got to talk to you through the slide latch. I don't know if y'all remember the slide latch, the latch with the chain on it. Got to sit there and talk to your ass through the slide latch because I can't open the door, let you in the house. And I think that there are some parents who have to face that dilemma. So I'm not prepared to sit here and judge them and talk about, oh, you turned your back on your kids and you're a horrible person because I would never turn my back on my kids. Yeah, I would never turn my back on my kids because my kids are my kids and they act and conduct themselves the way that they act and conduct themselves. So I don't foresee a situation where I would be in a like or similar situation. However, I can imagine and have seen situations where people's kids are not like my kids. And hell to the no, I wouldn't let their asses in the house. Hell, I'd be telling them to get off my porch. You know what I mean? I'd be there loading up the ratchet. Y'all need to get up out of here. You can't be on my porch, son. Especially when the sun go down. Hell no. So I think that's one of the things that we have to take into account. But let me I'm going to drop the chat or drop the link. So you guys can call in. Yeah, we probably won't be getting too extensive tonight. Do about a half hour of phone calls. Because I have to go down and make my family some food. I make food for my family. Yes, I do. But yes, I'm the cook. And we are having a late start. I didn't have I didn't get my stuff out of the refrigerator like I wanted to. Yeah, but like I said, the phone lines are open, and I'm willing to take phone calls. Hold on one second. We got a super chat from Behind Blue. That's a nice picture. I like that picture. $1.99 super chat says, thanks, James. Well, thank you, Behind Blue. I appreciate you. Let me give you a little something. You're awesome. Yeah, we have Negla in the house. What's going on, Negla? How you doing?
Hey, James.
Hey,
I have arisen from the YouTube
from the
deceased
YouTube ashes
again.
like a fiery
Right,
phoenix.
right, like a phoenix. I ain't
All
going
right,
nowhere. Ain't going nowhere.
back once again.
I know, right? I know.
So what's happening? How you been?
I guess caution to like, because you're right. They don't give you a book. Look, they send you home with a bag of diapers and some formula, even though you breastfeeding. Okay,
Right,
you
right,
feel me?
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
you
They
like
clap you on the back and say good luck.
work with me. Yeah, literally the very first diaper I changed was on April 17th, 2003. I had never in my life changed a diaper.
Right.
I didn't know, this from that. I had no idea. And so they don't give you a handbook, and it's hard
Right.
when you're dealing with a little person who they don't know either. They depending on you to tell them, but you depending on
Right. Well, y'all just be sitting there looking at each other.
I know, like, well, what we gonna eat tonight? I don't know.
What you want?
Right.
Yeah.
I know,
You
right? Right, that part. But it reminds me, and so all my eldest son, all of his life, I've always told him, and this is the way my parents were. I always had a home at ABC 123 Lane. My city and state, or whatever. I never kick you out, and this and that. And it was a time when my mother was like, "Oh no, you got to get up out of here." And and I said, I vowed I never do that to my child, and never, and that was my resolve, because I didn't ever want my child, sleeping in their car or this, that, and the other. Not saying I didn't do what I didn't deserve to get put out, but it was just the fact that I couldn't believe she had to, gall to actually put me out. My dad agreed with her. I'm sitting there like, excuse. Anyway, either way, fast forward to 2 years ago when my husband was in ICU, and my son had been staying at his girlfriend. He was like between his girlfriends in our house, most of the stuff here, back and forth between him. And so one more, he's in the literally he's in the ICU on life support, literally on life support. And one morning my ring goes off, and it's this dude, where the F that be at with my baby? Sir, you got the wrong. Where is insert girlfriend's name? I'm like, oh, they don't live in my house, and how did you even know where my house? Bruh, mind you, my husband is sitting like 3 feet away from me on life support. Do you understand me? Right. And so anyway, long story short, apparently when I finally, because I didn't leave his side for like almost 2 weeks. And so when I finally leave, they done took over my house. And I'm like, oh, no, this isn't that. And my heart and my brain broke, because I had to tell my child words that I never said I would utter. Get the F out of my house and don't ever come back. And it had nothing to do with, husband against son or this, that. It had to do with you all totally disrespect. I don't care if my husband, if I didn't live with my husband, I don't care if it was somebody, whatever. You never disrespect somebody else. It was just the liberties that they had taken while they knew the situation that I was going through.
Right.
And I did have to apologize, I apologized for the way that, what did I apologize? Because I was very clear. I didn't apologize for a damn thing I said, and I didn't apologize for what I did, but I apologized for the emotion that, how I already had pent up emotion. So some of that vitriol that I was, addressing towards the situation with my husband came out towards my son, and it wasn't fair as far as that. However, I felt I had every right. And as a parent, yes, like I said, it hurt my heart. And thankfully, thank God that, of course, my relationship with my child is repaired and all of that stuff. But I realized that, well, first of all, I already know my child is a spoiled brat. He is. His mama is a spoiled brat. So I don't know where he got it from. Because anyway, but my point is that even he is spoiled, and I had to sit down and take a step back and not necessarily blame myself, because not everything was me doing, and I'm not blaming anybody else or what have you. That's a journey he's going to have to take, because he's going to do that to the wrong person whose, spouse is in the hospital or friends in the hospital or this, that, and the other, and y'all go over there and mess up somebody else's house. Right. You looking down twin barrels, you feel me? As opposed to, what I had given him. So I had to teach him that hard. And like I said, that hurt my heart, because at that point I didn't need anything else like on me. And I don't think that, children understand that as parents, we do have to sometimes cut you off and remove you from our current situation, because right now I have to focus on this. And I have to put, right now, one of my children is saving up for a trip to, a trip overseas this summer. She wants spending money. The trip is paid for. And when I tell you that little girl, hey, can I borrow $5? I'll pay you back when I get paid. No, because what if I have to leave early for the trip? She don't leave till June. Well, I still want to make sure I get my money back. You feel me? Right. You know what I'm saying? And that unwavering, and as parents, it's hard for us to do. But just as easily as she did, she told me that I have to learn to tell my, be that steadfast and, resolute with my children. Anyway, I ain't gonna take up all your time, but I totally get it. And to say that you cut your child off, number one, it does not mean forever. And number two, it does not mean it's not going to hurt your heart. Because I'm telling you, that hurt my heart. Right. My heart. Right. The two of the men, my father, brother, husband, son, you know what I'm saying? Those are my 4 chambers in my heart. You feel me? And right now I got half of it missing. I need to be on life support. But anyway, like I said, just those two things.
Let me just say this real quick.
Sure.
There's one part of it that I would notice is, and it is just simply this. Sometimes, because kids grow up with parents who are always there and doing for them, it's very easy to fall into a cycle where you take that relationship for granted. And right. In the sense that because you had said that, if you go out and do this to somebody else, the cruel reality is, and this is something that parents have to face all the time. One of the many slashes and cuts and offenses that parents have to endure silently because we never talk about it. The truth of the matter is, there are things that your kids will do to you that they would never dream about doing to somebody.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Years.
You're right.
You know what I mean? They'll come over your house, tear your damn house up from the floor to the ceiling, and they don't give a shit. They'll go over to the other friend's house. They folding the towels.
They're made, right? You are doing the laundry, vacuuming. Right. Excuse you, what child did you? This child did not fall out of me.
Yeah. Let me wash these dishes for you. What? You do dishes?
I need a DNA test. Right.
It's just, but I think that a lot of that just comes from, them taking that relationship for granted. And then as parents, we also have to take a role, especially as they become adult children, and we recalibrate our relationships with our kids.
Absolutely.
It is a recalibration. As part of that recalibration, we also have to instruct them how to love and deal and have relationships with us
as adults. Well. I'm always your parent, but you have to understand that there are there are bound, like I don't ask, like if he comes in at midnight, I don't care. That's your, that should be, but you will respect, and you're not just gonna bring everybody over my house, or you're not gonna do this. You get what I'm saying? Like sit down and set boundaries, and that's a good suggestion. That's a really good.
Yeah, because you got to be able to, and that's the whole thing too. You have to be able to say, because again, like you said, you always recognize that this is your child. I'm always here to support you. I'm always here to give you counsel. I'm always here to give you advice. But I am a person too. And I think that's the part that gets lost. I'm a human being. And then, like in your situation that you described, you said that your husband was on he's in the hospital.
He's on life support. He was on a ventilator on life support. Literally, they said if he makes it to Memorial, if I come back after Memorial Day and he's still here, I'll be happy. I'll be praying all weekend. That's what the doctor told me.
Oh, you almost, I'll be surprised if he had, you know what I mean? Like that.
Exactly. He told me that Friday. Right. He went to the hospital on my birthday, and then that Friday, the doctor's telling me, "Oh yeah, he got 24 to 48 hours."
Right.
And he's like, "I'm anyway." Yeah. So, but anyway,
in that situation, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to recognize that it's, like the parent child, I'm here for you and I'm supporting you. But I also am a human being and I have other things going on as well.
Right. Respect me as well. Yes.
Right. So when you, if you as a child, you go out and you have a bad day, I'm supposed to understand and deal with your stuff. The relationship road goes both ways.
Yep. That's fair.
And I think that's just one of the things, because I said, I have a good relationship with my kids, but I also want to make sure that we touch for people who don't necessarily have good relationships with their kids, and we can understand and appreciate the situations that they find themselves in.
Absolutely. And never judge anybody else's relationship, because until you live in that house with that person and have that same relationship, don't tell me how I need to, don't tell, just because I cut my child off, don't tell me this, that, and you know what, say, I'm praying for your situation. That's all you need to do, because you can't tell me I can't cut my child off. You feel me? Once time, and that's like when somebody died. Oh, how you feeling, sis? Well, how the hell do you think I feel? My mama just died. Get out my face.
Right.
You feel me? So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Because they've been gone for so long. Like you can't.
Well, she been gone a year.
You can't tell me how to feel. You know what I mean? Days I might have good days. Days I might have bad days. There's gonna be days you want to pick up the phone and call. Days you like, you know what? I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna give them their space, because they need to. And that's the recognition too. Like sometimes they need to grow and mature as well.
Sure.
And they need to grow into that relationship. But
fair. All right,
James. Thank you so much for calling.
I miss you. I'm gonna try not to keep staying. I'm gonna try not to keep staying away for so long. I'm gonna see if I can get a party invite out for Sunday. So I mean for Saturday. I'm checking accounts now. So anyway.
I'm glad you back.
All right, dear.
Talking to you.
Oh, y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. All right. That was Neglet 3. All right. We have a local art switch in the house. What's going on, Law? How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
Good. I don't know how helpful it is because my kids are quite a bit younger. But I wanted to expand on this boundaries idea, because I think when our children are young, it is normal and good to give them a lot of grace, right? Their brains are still developing. They're not mature, right? But here's an example of a very difficult. So when my child was very young, he wasn't even in elementary school yet. And we had recently gotten an autism diagnosis, and he was having very big meltdowns, uncontrollable, not his fault, not my fault either. I was doing everything I could. And when he would have these meltdowns, he would attack me. And so one very difficult night, my husband and I sat down and we had the discussion of because he went for my neck, I was bleeding and stuff, not his fault. He was just a little baby, basically. He was 4, but especially having male children, what injury is too far? When does this become unsafe? When
Right.
do we make a very, very difficult choice? And I could see myself moving that goalpost if I didn't make a decision in advance. Like, okay, um, let's say my arm gets broken in an altercation or whatever.
Mhm.
I could see myself excusing that away unless I built boundaries beforehand to be like, okay, when we're watching things escalate, because things don't happen overnight.
Right.
Things happen slowly, 1 degree at a time, like the frog in the pot, right?
Mm.
So just like I have had those thoughts of especially where I've went no contact with each of my parents separately for different reasons. Um I've had that, like, one day my child's gonna look at me and be like, "You're terrible, and you're toxic, and you're a narcissist, and this and that and the other." And what's my role at that
Mhm.
point? Um, there's this, psychologist that I listen to on YouTube, Dr. John Deloney, and, something that kinda made me concerned was he was saying, "Well, you should keep reaching out, let your kid know that you're there," and I'm like, because, I mean, we don't know enough of like, this mom was going on like she had no idea, and
Right.
I think sometimes, maybe generally, there's an odd case where you really honestly do not know what you did to cause your people to not talk to you, but when like, I could see leaving one message, "I'm here whenever you're ready. I am
Right.
sorry. I am willing to work on it, but I'm genuinely if I'm genuinely concerned or confused as to what I did, and I should apologize for that," because it kinda gives this signal that, like, certain things my father was doing, he either didn't want to admit to it or could not because it was
Mhm.
so normal for him,
Right.
and it took me being an adult to see that, with my own children to be like, "Ew, that was really inappropriate."
Right.
So, um, yeah, like, it's really tricky. It's really scary to know that someday I could be in that position, trying to keep those open lines of communication to hopefully foster this relationship where they're not secretly holding things because they're scared of me or whatever. Um, but you don't know what you don't know at the same time. And I know that's a lot of nothing I gave you, but sort of knowing beforehand, I can see situations where your child gets addicted to substances or, it becomes dangerous and they're not themselves. I can see it being dangerous as much as you love them to have them in your house.
Right.
Um, right. And so I don't know, like once they're an adult, like even I finally watched that Trust Me,
Mhm.
and I noticed that they were technically adult wives, but 19, 20, I'm like, "Ugh." I mean, yes, legally you're technically an adult, but you were also raised in this cult and you've been obviously brainwashed and your brain isn't done cooking though.
Right.
Sir. Um so yeah, like I think it is quite difficult, but I do think just like children have the right for their own peace of mind to go non-contact with their parents. It we I know the expectations are different for parents, isn't it? Because like it's so hard to say that a parent could do the same because it
Right.
got too toxic, too dangerous, too and I'm thinking of like, I don't know, like you figure out that your kid is Ted Bundy or something. I can
Mhm.
I wouldn't blame that parent.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't
Um,
know. Yeah. Well, because I think that there's a point too where you look at it and you say that, like, if your child is doing things which are tearing you down, like for instance, parents are people. So the
yeah,
same way you could have a child with low self-esteem, you could have a parent with low self-esteem
mhm,
and
yeah,
esteem issues. And if you have a child that is constantly tearing you down, every
Yes.
time they come over to your house, they tell you your house is disgusting, you're lazy, you stink, you're not doing enough, you need to go to the gym, and list everything that you're doing wrong, right?
Mhm.
And then you're saying, well, I'm the parent, I should be able to take it. You're a person. And I
Yes.
think that's one of the things that, like, us recognizing that our parents are people, and
Yeah.
even as children, recognizing that our parents are people. They have feelings, they have hopes, they have dreams. Like that, when your parent was 6 years old or 15 years old and they were dreaming about being an adult, they weren't
Mhm.
necessarily dreaming about being your parent. They had a whole
No.
bunch of other stuff that they wanted to accomplish in life that maybe they
Yeah.
didn't get around to. And maybe you're part of the reason why they didn't get around to it, right?
Yeah.
so so I think that we have to take all that into account. So even with
Yeah.
the one guy saying that, as a parent, you should be reaching out to your kids all the time. I'm not a big fan of, like, because I think that borderlines harassment. Like, if your
Yeah.
child says that they don't feel comfortable with you contacting them, you constantly contacting them is violating a boundary that they've already established and set.
It goes to show that's like proof as to why that child cut contact in the first
Right. In the
place.
first place, right.
For like it makes you stick those, what's the saying? Like those tent hooks in even
Right. You got
harder.
it in deeper.
Like,
Yeah.
I told you this is my boundary and you're going out of your way to still harass me.
Right.
And like, cuz he didn't seem too deterred by the idea of maybe it being escalated into like a no contact
Mhm.
order. And it's like, that's a lot. Like, once your child, even just sending that one message could be interpreted a certain kind of way.
Right.
But I wouldn't blame a person for giving that one last, be
Right.
like,
You let them
okay,
know that you're always
but
open for a
I'm
conversation,
sorry,
and when you're
I'm
ready, come back.
here.
Right.
Yes. And I'm willing to work on it if you are. I love you. And then just leave it, right?
Right.
So yeah, like we're people too. And something I tried normalizing very early in my parenthood is to apologize to my kids when when I realized I did something wrong.
Mhm.
Like to bring those, like, yes, mom makes mistakes too. Sometimes, like, I don't do it all the time, don't get me wrong, but if I'm really upset and I'm crying, I sometimes allow my children to see that,
Right.
to let them see that I'm not just like this immovable rock that nothing bothers.
Right.
Mom gets scared and angry and sad too. I'm just a human doing her best, and sometimes that's not good enough. Um, and that's why sometimes I've said, like, something that gives me peace sometimes is thinking if Jesus Christ himself had a child, I
Mhm.
think it's very difficult to be literally the perfect parent for that specific child in that specific moment all the time. And then even if he was perfect, imagine your dad being the literal son of God.
Right.
You're gonna
I
have a
mean,
chip on your shoulder, right?
imagine
So
being that child though, because I mean that's a lot to live up to. Like, you know what
that's
I'm saying?
exactly.
On another
Exactly.
child.
You literally can't live up
Right.
to it. You're
Right.
never gonna be good enough. And so in that way, it's problematic, right?
Right.
And then as sad as that is, I'm like, you know what? If even Jesus would have a hard time with this, maybe I can give myself a little bit of grace because
Right.
I am, um, and you've probably heard this, maybe about millennials specifically, but we're like reparenting ourselves while
Mhm.
learning how to parent this young generation. And in a lot of ways, I have parenting behaviors toward my elders.
Mhm.
And like I always felt like a caretaker for my mom. Like
Right.
I've told her even before, like, if there's past lives, I'm pretty sure I was your mom in a past life somewhere
Right.
or something. And um, like, so I think normalizing certain things for our children can go a long ways toward them realizing, oh yeah, because like sometimes my kids like to be like, oh mom, you were born in the 19th century. What was
Yeah.
it like when the dinosaurs were running around? And I now make a joke of it. I'm like, I've seen civilizations rise and fall, you know?
Right, right, right. So
But
let there be light, I flip the switch. Yeah.
in the beginning, though, if my kid would, especially about my body weight, if my kid would be like, "Oh, you're a big back," because that's what the alphas say now,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Listen, we need to sit down." That can be really hurtful. Now, luckily, I'm a grown woman and I've learned a lot, but when I was young, I did struggle with body dysmorphia. I didn't use that word, but, I perceived myself as a bigger person than I was, and I've always struggled with that, and I'm okay. I'm okay. I've worked through it, but you do need to be mindful not to say stuff like that to other people because it is can be hurtful. That type of thing lives in people's brains, but to do it in a way that is age appropriate.
Right.
Like when my kids are quite young, I'm like, "Oh, that hurt my feelings." And then you kind of build the building blocks after that. So, yeah, I think keeping an open line of communication, age appropriate, parental appropriate, right? Like it is
Mhm.
hard, I imagine, to go from like because my kids are 13 and 9. So I'm still very much just only in the parent department still.
Right.
Um, but I am guessing that once your kids are a certain age, there's some friendliness that begins to happen.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that, like I was saying with Negla, I think that over time, your relationship with your children, by the nature and necessity
Mhm.
of them getting older, will
Yeah,
augment and change. So the thing,
yeah,
their needs for you will be different. But I
yeah,
think the through line throughout all of it is to establish that there has to be mutual respect in order for our
yeah,
relationship to continue. And I think
yeah.
that that's the most important part, because when we talk about no contact and we talk about
Mhm.
boundaries and we talk about, all we're talking about is relationship stuff. And
Yeah.
if I'm not respecting the relationship that I have and I have no value for the relationship that I
Mhm.
have, then I won't have that relationship. I won't have benefit of that relationship anymore. I can't
Mm.
disrespect that resource and expect that resource to still be there for me when I need it. You know what I mean? And if
Yes,
you value something, you take care of it. And if you value
yes.
your relationship with your parents or you value your relationship with your children, then you
Mhm.
tend to it and you nurture it and you grow it and you take
Yep,
care of it and protect it
yep,
as though it was
exactly.
valuable. But if you
Yes,
disregard it and you treat it like trash, then you can't be mad when it's gone.
right, right. Does it's something that makes me a little baffled because I like to think that like, I know I've shared this with you before that I genuinely believe that even when people are doing bad acts, that deep down they have their own reasoning as to why they're doing those things, and it is for the greater good. That's how
Mhm.
people sleep at night, I think.
Right.
But when you think about some of the ways that each of us were raised, particularly those of us that like, before spanking became frowned upon, before, it used to be okay to just to neglect your children. I don't know about you guys, but do you guys remember they used to have these commercials, they would come on about 10 o'clock. "Hey, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?"
Right.
We needed a PS they needed a PSA. "Hey, you have kids, do you know where they are?" Like, you could never oops, wow, I'm sitting in the dark, what is happening?
Yeah.
Um, so it's a very different culture, right?
Right.
Um, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying with that because, like, I do think we are overbearing in this generation.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not necessarily that we want to be helicopter parents. I think that's what my kids will have feelings about personally, because 'cause
Right.
they'll be like, "Mom, you're always, like, worried." And I'm like, "Well, it's because I don't tell them details, but I'm like, I did grow up in foster care and, I've seen a lot of situations, and that is why, you know, sometimes I get really nervous about you doing certain things because I know certain consequences, right? And they're, for me, a little too real. They
Right.
can very much happen, right? And, but also, um, our culture, like, I used to take my kids to the park, and if my kids were more than 2 feet away from me, I'm watching them. I'm not on my phone unless I'm taking a cute picture of them. And I would get police coming up to me because somebody at the park called on me because I'm not close enough to my kid. And I'm like, am I supposed to breathe down his neck? This is ridiculous, right?
Right.
So, you know, it changes your brain chemistry when that happens enough times. So, yeah, those boundaries, but from an early age, letting your kids know that you are human in little ways. So that way it's not like when I was very little, I remember thinking that my parents basically rose the sun and set the moon and everything else, right? And then
Right.
when you first start noticing that they're not infallible, that they can tell lies, that it's a big, for me, maybe I took it too seriously, but it was crushing for me. I was like, oh, like when I found out that Santa was not real, I could not believe it because they lied to me. How dare?
Right.
Like, so, you know, stuff like that. And anyway, thank you for listening.
No
I don't
worries.
know if that
Thank you
was
for
helpful at
calling
all.
in. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I'm gonna go back and listen.
All
Love you
right.
guys.
Have a good one. Awesomeness. Yeah, I think that's a good approach. Like, I think that overall, you know, just letting your kids know, because it's not about perfection. Like, I don't want my kids to think I'm perfect ever. Right? Don't think I'm perfect. I make mistakes just like you make mistakes. But it's just recognizing the fact that I'm a person like you're a person, and I have feelings like you have feelings. And even with like sitting there calling me names, like, I don't have to suck that shit up. Like, you don't get to disrespect me and call me names and try to hurt my feelings because I'm your father, right? That's crazy, you know. So we have to respect each other. Coming to the stage next, we got Megatron. What's going on, Megatron? How you doing?
Hey, James. What's going on, man?
How's it going?
It's, you know what? It's going. It's Tuesday. I went to the gym today. It is what it is, you know. Just make it what it is.
Right.
I ain't no use to sitting here keep complaining. You know, my dad wanted to keep talking about the price of gas, and I'm like, for what? I gotta drive. It ain't like I can opt not to. So I'm not about to get my pressure up over something I can't change.
Right.
You know? And that's kind of like the topic tonight. I don't know if you've seen it in the chat, but I had put, you know, this year has changed my perspective on a lot of that because, especially in a Black Southern family, you know, we talked about this the other week. You know, you represent the family. You don't want the family to look bad. You don't want people talking about us. You know, that's a big thing down here. And it's one of those situations where my aunt, New Year's Day, her and her husband were killed by their grandson, right? And one of the main reasoning is he should have been cut off a long time ago. But the fear of people judging us and people talking about us and, oh, we're going to look like bad, you know, parents and grandparents. And now they're dead. You know what I'm saying? And and his mother, who's my cousin, he couldn't live with her. But to keep people from talking about the family, I'm gonna put him in the house with my elderly parents.
Wow.
And let them deal with it. And you know what I mean? And it's one of those things where we have to sit here and say, when is enough enough? That's why I was like, this is kind of really triggering because I've been saying it for a long time. Like, y'all need to cut contact with him. I would get a restraining order. Keep him from this house. Like, why is he here?
Right.
You know, and sadly, it took him killing his grandparents over a cigarette. And what Local Art Witch was saying, like, oh, deep down inside, like, I kind of don't agree with that because people are just doing things out of pure meanness and evil. They're doing it because they can. They've never been corrected. I forget, I don't know if it was Negla or Local that called and said, like, my son is also on the spectrum, you know, and he's 11, he'll be 12 this year. And there were behaviors that he had at 2 and 3. And we had a plan in place. Like, okay, I get you can be upset. That is a natural feeling to have. But what you will not do is tear my house up and hit and harm anybody, not even yourself when you're upset. So we can express your anger in a healthy way. Now, again, these were behaviors at 3 and 4 years old that he had, but through a healthy coping strategies and practice, you can't get good at something if you don't practice it.
Right.
So if a person that's 30 and 40 years old can't manage their anger because they never practiced it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't get to be an asshole because you have a mental disability. You don't get to be an asshole because you're having a bad day. You understand? Right. So I don't fully believe in that. Well, they have mental health problems. That's why they killed the whole family. They had mental health problems. That's why they put the baby in the microwave. Bullshit.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying.
What's my homegirl name? Helen Keller was blind and deaf and learned how to read, write, and became a damn doctor. You ain't gonna sit here and tell me your big rusty ass don't know how to control your emotions and express it in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. So, cut them off. Not only cut them off, throw it in the damn Pacific Ocean. All the way out there. Fuck them.
Right. All right. Well, because
you understand what I'm saying?
I would even posit this. Like, I think that there's also a point where you could look at that relationship and say that there's a point, especially as you start to get older, where not only do you know better, but it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to do better. Right. Because we can, like, I had a period where a period of frustration where I was dealing with somebody. And it seemed like every time you talk to them, they always had the excuse in their mouth. When I was a child, blah, 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 when I was growing up and my mama never did this. But at the same time, there's a point of recognition where if you recognize that you're doing the wrong thing and why you're doing the wrong thing, then it behooves you and it becomes incumbent on you to correct those things. It's no longer a reason as to why you're doing what you're doing. You're just turning it into an excuse as to why you should be allowed to do these things. And like I said,
victim.
Right, exactly. And it's just the like even what you were saying with your, because I've had a similar situation in my family, but not over cigarettes, it was over land and money. But the whole thing is that there is a sense of entitlement that comes into that. And I think that there's also a point where they never really understood established boundaries in those relationships. Right. And if you can't, and this is where we start talking about cutting people off or no contact, what generally happens is that if you can't respect or adhere to those boundaries that people are setting, because all a boundary is just basically saying, this is what I need from you in order to continue this relationship. If you can't stay within these boundaries or these guidelines that I'm issuing, then you can't have a relationship with me. Right. And that's all that means. It doesn't mean that you have to change your personality or your perspective. My boundaries can't change you. My boundaries are only there to tell you how to love me or be in a relationship with me and deal with me. That's it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you can't do that, then we can't, like, I can't.
What are we here for? What are we here for?
Right. You're not going to come in my house and disrespect me, talk to me the old kind of way. Like, I can't do that.
And that's the thing. And people, you shouldn't cut them off because that's your son. Man, listen, I don't care who it is. Come in here acting a fool, disturb my little taste of peace. First of all, where we getting peace at now? You ain't getting no peace in the grocery store. You ain't getting no peace at work. Yeah. Where am I supposed to have peace? I'm going to have peace in the home that I pay for. I'm going to have some peace somewhere. And you ain't coming in here with a bunch of fools.
Right.
And it just triggers me when it's, they have mental health problems. Guess what? I do too. I got mental health problems. I ain't running around here beating up and making everybody stealing folks lunch out of the refrigerator at work. I ain't doing this stupid stuff.
Right.
You're making a conscious choice to do what you're doing. And again, if you do have mental health, there are millions of these companies that teach you how to cope, how to manage, how to what is it called? Redirect yourself. So
Mhm.
if you ain't got no help, you don't want none.
Right, right.
At
Well,
this
because even
point,
no, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was saying because I don't know if you've seen the two families on YouTube, these specific families. One of the little boys is named Cash. He's a little white boy. And then there's another one named JB. He's a little black boy. They both are on the spectrum. Man, they be me mopping the hell out of their mamas. I'm
Mm,
talking about be beaten. I'm talking about to the point where their siblings are so terrified in the house where when they quote unquote have a tantrum, these kids they're physically crying, shaking, and locking themselves in their rooms. And then
mm.
you have these moms with the cameras out. Oh, it's okay. And I'm just saying to myself, it wouldn't be me. My son is 11 years old, taller than me. He getting up there with the weight. I'm not about to be tussling with this boy at my 50 years old, scared to sleep at night, got a toothpick propping my eyes up. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Well, I
You
mean,
know,
because that situation, I will say this. That shit, like I've seen like, and maybe not JB and the other young man. I've seen situations where, parents will be filming their kids or, letting
mhm,
their kids do stuff when they little, and everything they do is cute and it's funny. Look at you over
mhm,
there doing-
mhm.
Oh, look, I'm telling him to do something. He just tell me to mind my business. He just go on and do something. Like that shit is cute when they two. But as soon as that kid turns 15 and he doing that same
Yes,
shit, it's not gonna be cute no more. It's gonna be
it's not.
dangerous with your house. So there is a
Yeah,
point where you have to protect yourself. Because like you said, look, Marvin Gaye, that's what I mean. And not to make, shame the dead, not to make fun of the dead. I remember when Marvin Gaye
right.
passed, because I'm that old. But I remember when Marvin Gaye passed, and I remember sitting there watching with me and my dad, my brother, and my mom was watching the news in the kitchen. We were about to eat dinner. And they talk about how Marvin Gaye passed, because his dad put that thing, the blinky on him.
Right.
And my dad said the same thing. He said, your big ass coming in. He's like, look, I ain't trying to win. I'll beat your ass with one finger. Like, pow! You know what I mean? That'd be it.
I'm talking
You know?
about click and boom. That's
Right.
but it's sad, but at the same time, it's a reality for us because James, like you said, you're from the old school.
Mm,
Big Mama them they didn't even have to say nothing. I ain't about to sit here and argue with you and debate and
right.
explain and why and I don't understand. And baby, listen, this is what's finna happen, and that's what it is.
Right, right. If you
There
don't like
was
it, you can
no,
get out.
you know what I'm saying? There was no sitting here trying to negotiate with your child.
Right, right,
And I
right.
get okay, giving them a voice, giving them. Listen. I got a little a mailbox set up to where if my kids have anything they want to discuss with me, they can put it in the little mailbox, put the little flag up. I'll know something's in there. We'll bring it to the table as a family. Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I do give them that, but at the same time, if it's something like okay, my son, my oldest, his birthday was yesterday, turned 20 yesterday. He
Oh, okay.
wanted to go skydiving. Okay,
Oh,
baby. I took the day off work. We all went. He went skydiving here. I'm gonna post the video on in the Facebook group.
you
But
jumped out of plane too?
no,
Oh, okay,
absolutely
okay.
not.
Just asking. Just
No,
asking.
thank you. No, 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 no. But that's something that he's been talking about since he was 5 years old.
Right.
And he had the money, he saved the money up. All right, cool. I'll go with you. I want to see this. And I've been catching so much flack from like family members. Oh, that's dangerous. That's irresponsible of you. You're supposed to be the mom. And da, 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 da. First of all, I am the mom, but he isn't a man. That's a grown man. That man 20 years old.
Right, right,
What I'm supposed to do? Tie him to his bed,
right.
ground him, put him on punishment?
Well, I mean,
No, like
it's
you
not like he said, I'm gonna just go up there and do it by myself. You know what I mean? I'm gonna use
yeah,
the
exactly.
age.
But back to what
Regulate the activity. Yeah.
local was saying, how about the helicopter parent, and I don't believe in that either. I'm definitely not a helicopter parent. I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you once and I'll tell you twice just so you can have clarity. Now the third time you're on your own. You go out there and
Right,
get your ass hurt you want to, that'll be your business. But that'll be a lesson you'll never forget.
right, right.
You understand? What my granddaddy said, lessons not learned in blood are easily forgotten. That's the problem. Y'all got these kids bubble wrapped, don't want them to hurt themselves. Let them skin the knee. They'll learn a little. I'd rather they skin the knee than 20 years later, you got to amputate the whole leg.
Right. Well, I mean,
So
I think
quick, you know.
because even to that
Go
point,
ahead. I'm sorry.
what you're saying, I think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Like, I think that's what our parents, like, well, I won't say our parents because I don't know how old you are, but I'm a Gen Xer, and I think that's one of the things that we learned. One of the valuable things we learned is because we were allowed to explore and try and fail under the supervision of our parents, so that way we knew our limitations going into the world. And so we didn't walk into the world thinking we were invulnerable and we could treat people any old kind of way, and they had to accept us no matter what I said or what I did. Everybody have to love me, because if they don't, then they're a terrible person. I'm being bullied. No, you have to treat people with respect. If you want to be respected, you have to respect others. If you want to have a relationship, you have to have the relationship with them, and the relationships go both ways. They could choose not to be your friend, just like you want to be their friend. They don't have to be your damn friend, especially if you're mistreating them. You know?
Yes, sir. Especially if you're an ass. You know, when we was on the cruise, there was a little boy. I have autism, so I get to go down the slide first. And then this little punk ass mama just sitting there on her book. He gonna push my baby out of the way. Hold on there now, Freckles. You gonna be in line like everybody else. You don't tell me what to do. You're not my mom. I wish like hell. You better be glad I ain't your mom. Because I would hang your little ass by your toenail off the side of this boat and dangle you until you got some sense in you. But since I ain't your mama, what I'm gonna do is stand my big ass right here and let all the kids that was in line go down the slide before your ass get up here. Now go get your mama. I would love to have a conversation with her. That little boy cussed me and called me all kinds of fat black ladies. And all I could do was laugh, James. I said, you know what? I cannot wait. When is your birthday? Where do you live? Because I will personally come to your house on your 18th birthday. I will personally see you on your 18th birthday. And when I tell you his mama sat there with her glasses on and her drink, oh, bud, come on, bud, just let them go. Like she was doing us the favor.
Just let them go. Like, lady, I was in line. Like, what are you talking about?
James, listen, I had to go get me some drinks. I said, because it's the audacity of people.
Right.
And then she's gonna look at me and say, well, can you just let him go? Because
no, he needs to learn.
Now he ain't going. Now he ain't going at all. Now move me since you're bad. You know, and I just yeah.
Well, I mean, that's part of the problem too, is that at the end of the day, just because and this is one of the things that I've told my kids, like, you know, like when you come in and you got a little chip on your shoulder, you got problems and stuff, and you don't want to talk, I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna ask you and try to pry out of you what your problem is and how I can help and what's going on, and I'm gonna try to figure out what's going on with you, man. The truth of the matter is that when you walk out that door, the people on the other side of that door don't give a shit. They don't care that you got autism. They don't care that you got problems. They don't care what your issues are. If somebody is standing in line to get on a ride, they don't give a good shit that your kid don't know how to stand in line. That's your problem. You think you can let him go? Hell no, I'm gonna let him go, because I've been standing under this hot ass sun so I can get me and my kids down this ride so I can hit that bar. So I'm not letting people in front of me because they sitting there talking about they got issues. Take your kid. Like, if your kid can't stand in line, he need to get the hell out of the line and go down to the damn.
You need to. There you go.
You know what I mean? Like,
there you go.
Like, sorry, not sorry. You know, because I mean,
boom, mic drop.
I gotta take your excuses though.
James, that is. Then it was another one where, oh well, the family didn't book their seats together. Baby, you in our seat. Now, I'm a family of 4. I booked our seats together. I paid that extra fee to get, to choose our seats. oh well, I'm separated from my 10-year-old and he's a little nervous. If you don't mind, if you would love to sit in my seat, absolutely the fuck not. I paid for all 4 of these seats and we're gonna sit in all 4 of them. You
Right.
should have paid the extra money like I did, so you and your family can sit together. Baby, I'm gonna need you up and out of my seat. As a matter of fact, hit it with the Lysol wipes because you smell a little funky.
Right.
I
Some
don't
people
know
don't
what you
realize
got
you gotta
going
take
on.
showers on vacation.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not a big a deal. You know what? It's not a big deal. That's why I booked all 4 of our seats together, so it wouldn't be a big deal. To the left, ma'am. Excuse me. And is this your bag up here above the seat? Yeah, you could take that with you too, because I'm about to put my purse up here. Thank you kindly.
Right. I'm gonna need all my
She was
room,
like,
all my space.
I'm gonna need all of it because I paid for all of this. I
Right,
need this whole row. Gosh, people are just so inconsiderate, and I mean, I said, God, the audacity of like, is this what we've come to as a society, James? This is what we've come to. I'm gonna inconvenience any and everybody just because I feel like it and I can.
Right.
That's what happens when you allow the little saplings, as my granddaddy will call them, to grow and bend all over the place. That's why you give it put up what he call it, a plank, so it can grow up straight. Because it gets to a certain point, there's nothing you can do with it. Start them out young, so when they're teenagers and 20s and 30s and above, they kind of got something normal going on.
Right.
But yeah,
So you rocking more
I don't know.
maintenance as opposed to
It's
growing.
Yeah, because it's generate. I see it every day at work. I work in a high school, and these are the conversations I have with my students. We kind of had this conversation a week or so ago, and I'll ask them like, what, why do you feel like you could just come to school and not do work? Why do you feel like, okay, everybody put their cell phones in the cell phone case, and you're sitting at the desk with your phone? What makes you more important or special than anybody else that you get to keep yours and they don't?
Right.
And well, I don't want to. And it's the same answer. Well, I just don't want to. Okay. So since you don't want to put your phone up, then you can leave this room. I will be sending, emails to your admin, parent, whatever. And you can get counted absent for today. Well, I can't miss any more days. Okay, well then put your phone up.
Yeah, you got choices.
It's simple.
Yeah, you got choices.
It's simple.
Right.
And their brain just doesn't compute that, okay, I do have choices. I might not like either choice, but I have a choice. So, like I said, I don't even know what the solution is, James. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, everybody got to carry their own water. Like that, at the end of the day, I think that you are, like in the case of the woman on the ship who was doing that with the young man, I think that ultimately you are, for lack of a better term, you're handicapping your child.
Enablers. They're enablers.
Because you're taking something away. Like they could be functional people, but you're putting them in a situation where they can't function in society. Because there's no place in the world that you could go that, like, if I'm sitting there for a job interview and your child is sitting there, and because they never heard no, they never heard they have to wait, they never heard that they have to take their time and they have to wait their turn. They walk into a job interview and say, look, I need to get in there right now because I got autism. The people who are hiring for that job don't give a shit.
Right.
And you say, okay, this guy don't know how to, like, he has no patience. Let's just go ahead and take his name off the list. Like, you're not helping them. And you might be, maybe you think you're doing something because you're going to come to me as an adult and try to talk to me as an adult and seek my pity as an adult. But if I go along with it, neither one of us is helping to benefit this child at all.
Exactly. And it's teaching my son with autism. Oh, people can just walk like, oh yeah, people just walk all over me. See, I'm teaching my child to live without me because eventually he's gonna have to.
Right.
You understand? I can't fight all your battles, but at the same time, I'm teaching him how to do it in a way that's not violent, that's not derogatory. I'm teaching him how to advocate for himself, as we said in the autism world. My son is advocating for himself. I'm advocating, and like I said, nothing, James, nothing we do on this earth, if you don't practice it, you're not going to be good at it. You have to practice, practice, practice. So I'm practicing these skills with my son in his everyday life so he can apply them. Like I said, from now 3 and 4 years old, yeah, it was a struggle. I will have to put the grocery cart full of stuff back, and we will have to go to the car, regroup, and come back. He's 12, about to be 12. My baby can go in the store. He got his little list. He can pick his stuff. He can do it. But it's not from, oh, he just woke up today. We had to practice this shit.
Right.
He had to know when he's overstimulated in the store, okay, this is what I need to do. Leave the cart to the side. I can go to a quiet place, deep breaths, do whatever I need to do, and then come on back to the game.
Right.
Practice. Practice, practice, practice.
No,
and some people just don't, they feel like they don't have, their kids don't have to, again, any kind of disability does not give you the right to be an asshole.
Right.
I don't care what the disability is.
The world will not accommodate you. And because it also goes against, like, I always kind of came up with the idea that, the world is a cruel place. And so I didn't grow up with the mentality that the world will bend and shape itself to my needs and it will make itself available to me. Like, you have to be able to learn to function in the world. You have to be able to learn to play the game. Like, whether it's like, we could talk about misogyny, sexism, racism, ageism, homophobia, whatever the case may be. These things exist in the world. And if you fall into any one of those categories, you have to be able to know how to navigate around the world. You can't walk out and say, well, this isn't right and this isn't fair and this is the way it should be, because none of that shit matters. What matters is your ability to be able to survive contacts which may be hostile. What matters is for you to be able to survive environments or opportunities, attain opportunities which may come up, and you be able to take advantage of them because you know how the system works and how the world works. And it's not going to bend to you just because you have a little special card in your pocket that say you have a certain diagnosis. It's just not going to work that way. In fact, it works the exact opposite way, because in most cases, and here's an ugly ass truth, in most cases, people who have certain diagnoses are not only not given special treatment, but they're singled out and they're actually excluded from the ability to participate in certain opportunities.
Yeah,
because of that, thing, they have to fight through it. So you treat, teaching them that, oh yeah, you just tell them that you have this disability and everything,
and you get what you want.
Yeah, you setting them up. Like,
listen, okay, so then we like minds think alike. So that's what I was like, lady, you set this boy up to get his ass whooped. Somebody's gonna fuck him up because you let me be in Walmart now, James. You know how we get down and dirty in the Wally world.
Right.
I'm tired. My paycheck looking a little skimpy. I got to go through these numbers, make sure everything adding up. And then here your punk ass gonna talk about some, well, I got autism, I'm going first. I done been in this line for an hour.
Right.
Man, listen, the can of whoop ass that I'm finna open on you ain't even gonna be fair. It ain't gonna be right.
Right. You can't,
but you finna catch it.
Yeah, you can't.
But you finna catch it. You know what I'm saying? And just as a society, I don't know everybody's family life situation. I'm pretty sure you know somebody that is diagnosed. You have somebody in your family, one of your kids. My take on this, James, I know you got to go. I want to hog your time, but my take as a mom with a child with autism on the spectrum, learning disability, whatever have you, you have to take accountability for what you can teach that person or child or whoever, even if it's 30 minutes. However, whatever, you cannot expect anybody to treat your child, loved one, friend. If you know somebody who's, like you said, enabling the ratchetness from these kids or whoever, hey girl, listen, I noticed that, you let little Johnny kind of walk all over or do whatever, that's not going to, school them, let them know. And a lot of people are afraid to call out. I'm not. Give them my number. I tell them, call it out. If something is not right, like people coming to your house. Well, he's on the spectrum. Man, he not about to tell my vials I just got from Home Good. You can get little Johnny's ass up out here because I'm finna. Okay.
Right.
Holding each other accountable. Holding each other accountable as parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm doing something that's enabling my child, call me out, let me know. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Say, hey, sis, I know that's your baby and he on the spectrum or whatever, but you know, you keep letting him get away with that. That's not gonna be good for him.
Right.
I can take constructive. Everybody can't take constructive criticism either. I get that,
Mm.
but at least they can't lie and say they didn't know.
Right. Right. Well, I mean,
So
again, it's just you're trying to put them in a situation where they can have the best outcomes possible, where they can learn to win in any situation. And that's not you, being mean to them. If anything, that's you preparing them. Because the
right,
world is a fucked up place. Like it's
yeah,
easy to sit around and talk about everybody's going to give you a break and this, that, and other. I've seen people turn away folks with service animals. You understand what I mean? And it's
yeah,
against the law to turn people away with service animals. But people
yeah,
don't like. It's just the world is messed up. You know,
yeah,
it's messed up. So
yeah.
don't put your kid in a
It really
position
is.
where things can happen to them and they can get their feelings hurt, especially when you putting them in the line. Like, don't put your kid in a situation where they talking back and talking rough to folks and saying all kinds of wild shit out their mouth. Because the one thing I've always said, like respecting people who work retail, you don't
Yeah,
know where people are in their journey. You don't know where they are in
yep,
their walk. You don't know where they are in their path. You don't know what's happening in their life. You go in there thinking you just gonna come out your mouth and say some wild shit to them, and it's not a big deal because everybody let you talk shit, and you might say the
uh-huh.
wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time. You catch all kinds of hell. You know,
Catch the to the pew. Listen, like my daddy said, you're gonna wake up dead around there, keep messing with them
yeah,
crazy. What that man tell on Friday? I don't know why you come around here messing with these ones. Hurry up. You gonna be around there with a swole eye, swole lip,
right, right. They're gonna run them hands
or
on you.
IV drip.
You know what I mean? Run them
Look,
hands.
my granddaddy say you gonna have a look, James. My granddaddy would say you gonna end up with a swole eye, swole lip, or IV drip one. But leave people alone.
I'm
I'm
telling you.
telling you. And so growing up, that was kind of like, okay, just like you just said, I don't know what James went through. James done went bankrupt, wife done left, ran off with his best friend, kids ain't
Right.
I don't, and then here I am cussing him out because he trying his best at Wendy's and he gave me 5 nuggets instead of 6. And I done sat
Right.
here and called him all kinds of names. Man, listen.
Yeah, right.
James done came out the back with one of the pails of hot grease.
Yeah, right.
Now I'm sitting on Dr. Phil's face, melted off like a candle.
Looking like a G.I. Joe that's been left out in the sunshine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
they
no,
look like one of them Victoria's Secret candles, just
right.
melted.
Yeah, right.
And now the victim, well, you talked about this too the other week. The guy from that show, and the man ran out in front of his bike.
Oh, yeah, Reacher. Yeah, the Reacher guy.
Reacher, yeah, that's the show. Like, bro, what is wrong with a prime example?
Yeah.
Because he didn't like how loud this man bike was. He gonna jump out in front of it, and the man falls off the bike. And he's telling him, like, bro, what are you doing? Walk away, walk away. The man gets on his bike to leave. The man gonna push him down again. This big 6'9", 300-pound muscle. And you sitting up here a twig, and you gonna push this big man down. Then he beat the soup out of you. It's oh god, look at my face.
He beat me. He's so big and I'm so small. That should have all went to your calculations when you jumped in front of that motorcycle. You know what I mean? That should have jumped in your calculations from the start. Your figure out part. You know what I mean?
I said, oh my gosh, yeah. But that's, you know what, James, situation like that is so common now. I just sit on TikTok and go on and look at, Karen's in the wild, I think that's what it's called. Man, it's the audacity of these people. I looked at one last night where the little lady went and snatched the guys off. They was fishing on a lake in a neighborhood. She went and snatched the poles from him. Stole the poles and took off with him. Little old lady. And I'm saying to myself, Lord, even the grandmas is getting in on this action. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Tired of living.
I'm telling you, like, E.T., I'm ready. I got my bags packed. Beam me. Just come on. Come on and get me. These people, they're ghetto. I can't do them no more.
I'm just ready to go back to my original timeline. That's all. Because apparently I'm on the jacked up timeline. I don't know where part of multiverse I'm in. because I'm not used to this shit. Like,
Uh, I'm talking about it's wild. Yes, go on TikTok. I think it's called Karen in the Wild. You would just be like, you're gonna go down a rabbit hole because it's in things like you said. I'm just going to buy apple juice. The lady going there to buy apple juice. The lady in there sticking the store up, and she telling lady, "You don't need no damn juice. Get you some water." Like she got a pum pum on the. The lady's like, "Yo, what is going? What is
right. What are we
happening?"
doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, but yeah, James, I just I don't know, man. I just work here. I don't know.
Right. Just trying
Just
to
work here.
survive,
I don't
James.
know.
Just trying to survive.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
man. But thanks for taking the call.
no worries. Thanks for calling
Yeah.
in. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
All right, James. I'll see y'all later.
All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Megatron in the house. Megatron in the house. Don't be messing around with us. Don't send your kids up there messing up. Excuse me, could you move out the chair? No. Could we all sit together as a family? Well, apparently you don't see these other folks. Yeah, this is my family. So I'm not gonna break up my family so your family can sit together. Like you crazy ass. You don't get out of here with that foolishness. Uh, oh man, I dig. I feel Megatron on that one. Like especially if I already set them out, I already made reservations so we could all sit together, and I had the foresight to do that, and you didn't. Too bad, so sad. My 10-year-old gonna sit all by himself. Well, why don't you have your 10-year-old sit with his daddy and you go sit over in the 10-year-old seat? Problem solved. I'll be here all day. Take your ass to the back. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell the manager. Please do. Please do. Got a $2 super chat from Negla. Negla in the house with a $2 super chat. Said there is a point grown kids need to take responsibility. Yeah. I mean, if you're an adult, you're an adult. You know what I mean? That's part of adulting. Is that if you recognize that you have issues or you have problems or you have shortcomings, it's on you to fix those shortcomings. Like even as your parents, like when you're 19, 20, 30 years old, you can't look at your mom and be like, mom, you need to fix me. No, it's not your mom's responsibility to fix you. You got to fix yourself. Maybe she was contributing to your problems. I don't know, but you got to take some responsibility for yourself. Got to put your big boy panties on, as Cody Brown would say. But thank you so much, Negla. All right, and we go to Darlene. What's going on, Darlene? How you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
What is the subject matter of tonight? I started late. Sorry.
The matter tonight is can a parent cut their adult children off? Is that appropriate?
Yeah. It can happen either way. Any family, rich or poor, any race, it can happen. Circumstance. It's just based on circumstance.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It don't, unless it, sometimes it's a bad kid, sometimes it's a bad parent. I mean, it doesn't only go one way. It could be either one's fault. But I think I heard what you were saying though about not calling them too much because that would be like harassment. But if it's important to you, you'll make an effort. Me and one of my kids kind of fell off a little bit based on my reaction to some things, and I didn't care for the mate, to get my drift.
Mm.
So that really put and the whole backstory of how they came about and how she got to live there and all this other stuff. So that's what made me not like the person. But so we kind of cut each other off. But it was important enough to me to try to build that back. So I'm accepting and civil, still don't care for the person. It's not who I would have wanted her to be with. You know what I mean? So I can't control your adults. But if I want to see the grandkids, I have to at least be accepting, if you will. I still don't like. I still have my choices and my thoughts. I just don't voice them anymore.
Right.
Just to keep the peace, if you will. I mean, that's also a decision. It ain't worth it to bark up against it. Then I have 3 other kids that are not even like this same way of living or way of handling a relationship. So again, they all came from the same mama. What is the circumstance? I don't know. What is the difference? You know what I mean? I don't know. To make it so different than the other three on how they do everything.
Mm.
And even how our relationship is. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It can come out of any family.
Right. Well, I mean, I think
I
ultimately,
all of them.
because it started as a question. Like I started the thing as a question because typically there are like TikToks and like there's a craze on TikTok, I think YouTube, Twitter, where they have like kids who've like kind of relish in the fact that they've cut their parents off for whatever reason. And so I think there has to be a counterbalance question as to whether is there a time and a place where a parent can cut their kids off? Because a lot of times parents are given the ultimate responsibility of they always have to be reaching out to their kids. They always have to circle back to them. It's their responsibility to maintain these relationships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think like most relationships or all relationships are social dynamics which are constructed between two individuals. So in order for those two individuals to have a relationship, one person can't want a thing, and the other person doesn't. That's not a relationship, So if a child is being destructive to a parent, because like I said from the beginning, assholes don't come out of nowhere. They don't grow on trees. They come from somewhere. And sometimes they come from good homes. They come from people who are good parents. Narcissists don't just pop up out of nowhere. They grow them in the laboratory, pop a crack out of an egg. They come from good parents. And if you're a parent and you're dealing with a narcissistic child, for you to protect your own sanity, you may have to separate from that child and no contact with that child in order for you to be able to reclaim your sanity. Because I don't know if you've ever dealt with a narcissist before, but that is the most frustrating shit ever. It is crazy. Right. Like it will make you feel crazy. Like a thing is true, and they trying to tell you repeatedly that the thing that you know is true is not true. Like that is the most insane thing in the world.
I have, but it wasn't diagnosed by a psychiatrist. But me and us diagnosing it by the definition that we're using against Cody for sure. For sure.
I mean, it might be undiagnosed, but somebody who suffers from narcissistic tendencies, like overpowering you, or everything they do is right, everything you do is wrong. They love bomb you and tell you that you awesome, and next minute they telling you that you ain't shit, you ain't never did nothing for me, mom. You raised me, you ain't never made no sacrifice. I'm self-made. Everything I am, I did for myself because you was never there. And the whole time, you remember, I was the one that was making all the sacrifices to provide for your monkey ass. And that's how you were able to achieve half the shit you were able to achieve. Now, just because I wasn't walking around with a flag and a banner and tooting a horn saying that these are all the things I'm doing and keep throwing it in your face that these are the things I'm doing, please recognize that in a lot of cases, parents are doing a lot of shit behind the scenes undercover that they never mention.
Yep.
And you as a child will never know what they're sacrificing in order for you to have the life and lifestyle that you have. But for you to turn around and tell them that they've done nothing for you, parents are people, and that shit hurts. That could hurt them.
James, I guess I'm a perfect example of me cutting off my parents for that very reason. They had too many kids. They seemed to favoritize the bad kids and not the good ones. I was a straight A student, and still nothing I ever did was good enough. Nothing did. Me and my one sister, that was a year, we were the closest in age. She like favoritized all the bad kids. It's like she clung to them more. She knew they was glitched or whatever, or
Right.
But she had too many. So I mean, we shared Christmas gifts if we've got any. I mean, come on, But I did separate from them at the age of 16 and on. So my dad would have been the narcissist role, I guess. None of my kids, definitely, but I was a kid of one. And then I've dated one. So those are my narcissist experience. But definitely not my kids. Just normal relationship crap. But Okay, so then the child that I have the most conflict with dates a narcissist. And I believe that they're controlling, and that's my problem. And every time I mention it, I'm wrong. And who am I? And it only pulls them closer, and they're not allowed to help me. They're not allowed to do these things.
Right.
Well, I quit trying. Again, I'm only civil just to see the grandkids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in certain situations, you're never going to be able to explain it to them anyway. Like it's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, some people have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, if they tied in, they tied in.
Yeah.
Then they looped in.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I had a kid act out not because of autism, but because of a concussion syndrome. And I did let them go stay with a friend's family for the rest of that school year. And it actually helped them, though. So each and every circumstance, and we didn't get anybody big involved. It was just between us. But I seen the changes. I seen what was happening. We were too much alike. We were literally getting ready to fist fight. We bucking up against, and you're a teenage man by now. I mean, but you're bigger than me already. So, but it ended up helping. So now as an adult and as a parent, you don't have to even apologize, Mom, because I'm just going around apologizing and as they're all adults now. And just if I didn't, if I messed up, didn't do something right, I was trying, I was doing it as a single parent, blah, 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 just explaining myself, whatever, doing my midlife crisis apology. And he's like, you ain't got to explain yourself. I get it now. I get it. I'm a parent who's been through some struggles, who's been, broke and had money and, just been through life already. Yeah, no, I get it. You got to apologize. So, every relationship is different.
Right.
The same four kids came from the same home, but one is just odd. I don't know where they came from. Like, that's my thoughts. Our question. Like, are we sure?
Right.
Because I don't know where this one came from. That's my question. This ain't me. This is not how I would be. I can't see. You know how sometimes you say, "Oh my God, you look just like your dad. You sound like your dad." He would have said something. I catch myself doing that now that they're adults. I mean, they have turned into him physically, let's say, but maybe not horrible actions, but sounds, voices. I mean, just sound like their dad saying something to me, and I have to turn my head and double take, like, who's speaking? But I mean, like I said, it's whatever. Everybody's doesn't mean you're the bad parent that caused it, especially if it's only one kid and not all of them. Now, okay, if they all flip out on you, you might have to check yourself.
Right. Yeah. None of your kids talk to you. Well, you never know. Like, I don't know.
If you flip out on anybody, it might be you. Do a self-evaluation. Check, That's all. I had to double check that. About the subject matter.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Yes. On to the next, and I'll be in the comments.
All right. Have a good one.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesomeness. And Darlene be coming through on Saturdays. So if you guys ever want to chat with Darlene, she's usually here on Saturdays during the round table. Giving her thoughts. The one force. Next up, we have Carmel Cuties. What's going on, Carmel Cuties? How you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Fresh off of work, the girl's back fully employed. So
okay.
It's been a week so far, but no, I'm good. I just wanted to say, piggybacking off of because I called in late, so I heard part of local art switch call, and then I heard Megatron's. And to piggyback off of Megatron's, I just want to say, let the church say amen, because y'all was hitting some key points there, Pastor my take. Baby, I'm gonna say this is nice, but as real as I can possibly get. So if y'all got the little ones in earshot, I'm apologizing early. But I'm from the generation of fuck them kids. And what I mean by that, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, some of y'all parents need y'all asses whooped, because there's no excuse for why there's so many fucking entitled brats, and that's exactly what they are, entitled brats running around as if the world is going to bend and break to them and their needs. I too have a child who is disabled. He's not on the spectrum, but epilepsy is a disability nonetheless. And I've taught my kid from day one, fresh out the womb, still with vagina juices on him, okay? That you're going to have to learn how to live in this world with any and everything that you got going on with you. I don't make excuses for my son. My daughter is dyslexic. You know what I'm saying? I didn't make excuses for her. At the end of the day, you're going to have to conform to whatever it is out here. Unfortunately, kids that are entitled and brats turn into horrible teenagers who then turn into ridiculous adults. Right. And for the one who was on the cruise with Megatron, she obviously feels that her son is going to stay at home for the rest of his damn life. Because there's no way with that attitude he'll ever get a job. There's no way he's ever going to live alone by himself unless mommy and daddy are fully paying his bills. Right. Because the world is not going to bend. And the fact that she even asked, well, can you just let him go down? Can you just kiss my ass?
Right. Why are you not addressing it?
I can't stand parents like that.
Right.
I can't. I mean, I had a kid just now on my lunch break. I'm at Safeway grabbing a couple items that I needed for the house. And they picked me up a lunch, right? And it was a little girl, or might have been a boy. I don't know. I couldn't tell. The ponytail was long. But the kid was acting an ass. And I'm standing in line for the self-checkout. And not only did the kid bump the hell out of me to try to run past and hurry up and go to the first available self-checkout so they could scan the candy that they wanted. And whoever they was with like, you know, called her the N-word and was like, get your ass over here. What is you doing? And like, I commended that in the moment that, you know, a little Hispanic kid, but they throw the N-word around in California like it's nothing. But right. I commended, I guess it was the older brother who snatched the kid up and was like, don't you see it's a line here? What the hell is you doing? Like, get back. But the mom looked at the brother and was like, knock it off. All they want to do is, they said the name. Again, it's a unisex name. So I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So I don't want to offend nobody, and I'm going to just say they.
Right.
She was like, they just wanted to buy their candy. That it's not a problem. And the brother was like, Mom, are you stupid? Don't you see there's a line here? She bumped that woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, what the kid did was wrong. And I didn't have to say a word because the older brother was on it. Like, he kept his foot on his mama and his siblings' neck as he should. And I hand clap, round of applause, because that's accountability, right? He held them accountable for their actions. Because God knows if it was just the mother there with that younger child, and the child had to have been about, I'd say younger than 10, older than 7, so somewhere in between that age, like third grade-ish. The mother would have allowed the child to just run up to the cash register, like as if it wasn't me and an elderly lady standing in line waiting for an available register, right?
Right.
But the whole point is, hell, even the other day I picked up my medication at the Costco pharmacy, and it was a line. It was about 3 or 4 of us standing in the aisle in the line in front of the pharmacy, and some older man rolls up on the electric wheelchair or the buggy, the cart.
Yeah, the scooter.
Yeah, the little scooter to the line where you would have to talk to the pharmacist once you pick up your medicine. And he gets off, and I'm lightly hearing the conversation because I was watching a YouTube video at the time with my earbud in. But I heard him say something about pickup. He said a couple of more medications, and then he had a few more questions. But the pharmacist let him know, if you're here to pick up your medicine, that's the line right there. Oh, old man had an issue. Like, he rolled his eyes and, but I'm already here. Can't you just give it to me? And at this point, I paused my video to fully be nosy, right? And so now the guy and the woman in front of me are being helped. So I'm the first one up at the start of the line. And so the old man cops an attitude, and he whips the buggy around and flips it behind me. And of course, a couple seconds later, another older person comes up to the window, I guess asking the same thing. And this old fool taps my shoulder to talk shit, talking about, oh, doesn't she know there's a line? I looked at him, I rolled my eyes, and I said, well, the same way you didn't know it was a line, I guess she didn't know either. But y'all both fucking around and finding out today, aren't you? You got some damn nerve to have an attitude for the person doing the same shit you just did.
Right.
Now, I get an old people credit because, you know, they set in their ways and they old, and at this point they got less years ahead of them than behind them. But even still, your behavior is not acceptable and it's not okay. And somebody needs to set you straight in the most respectable way. And that's just as respectable as I was going to get for that day because it was Saturday and I was already irritated. I had to leave the house. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
the whole point is, like, yes, y'all need to start holding y'all family members accountable because it's fucking ridiculous how some people are, and we're left to deal with it. Working in the school district, I hated coming across a parent who made every excuse in the book for their very able child to not do what was needed for them to do in the classroom. Well, you're there to help them, right? Why not give them any homework? Because what the hell is that teaching them? Why not allow them to only do half the problems? Because, you know, they just get so overwhelmed, and they get overwhelmed with basic math. 1 + 1 = 2. 5 + 5 = 10. Like, and if they are overwhelmed, if they genuinely suffer with like massive anxiety and all this other stuff, not to bust any bubbles, why don't you have them in therapy? Why don't you have them medicated? Like, there's ways to help your child, but you're not doing it. But you want everybody else to bend to what their needs are and or want, and start making excuses and enable them to not do what you know that they can do. Your child can do the math. They're actually quite good once you take the time and sit them down and actually go over it with them. But you're so used to getting your way, you don't even want to have them try. And now that's a problem because these same entitled brats become adults that somebody out there ain't going to take their shit.
Right,
and it becomes a problem.
Yeah, you just wind up seeing them. You don't have to see them. You know what I mean?
I mean, not to say that I ever condone putting your hands on people, but some folks nowadays don't even know how to fight. They just pulling out weapons and doing what it is that they're going to do, unfortunately. And so, like, I had to have a serious heart-to-heart yesterday. I was on I don't even know if it's considered a 4-way call because it was 4 of us all on the line. We had a family meeting yesterday because as I drove to work, I got the call that my wayward 15-year-old niece is now sitting in a jail cell. And I'm a little ashamed to say the reason why. And I'm praying for the victim's family because it's not okay. But 4 of them, my niece included, decided that, you know, they was hanging out a little after midnight and they wanted to rob somebody, I guess, and call themselves jacking him. And I don't know where the pew pew came into play, but a 38-year-old married father with 2 kids was the victim, and he did not make it.
Oh no.
And my niece is sitting in a jail cell at 15 years old, facing a murder charge.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law want to point the finger and place blame on any and everybody she possibly could. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment with her. Like, I'm sorry, but, you know, oh, well, if, you know, the other little girl's mom wouldn't have allowed her to go over there all the time, she wouldn't have nowhere else to go. And, you know, my mom was like, well, for the moment, your daughter had a safe place to rest her head, and she wasn't hanging out, you know, at the McDonald's or the Wiener Schnitzel parking lot at 2-3 o'clock in the morning in the cold. At the end of the day, if you would have got her the help she needed, if you would have done what the hell was needed as a parent, your child would have never been in this situation to begin with. So you gonna have to take this L. You gonna have to take the L. Meaning, you gonna have to take some accountability. And I hate to even say it, but you and my brother need to get a list of folks you trust that you may have to call because of the severity of the charges. And when they, reach out to the school and realize baby ain't been to school since September, they may come and do a thorough investigation on the 3 kids you still have at home.
All right.
It is a possibility that they might remove those children from your home. So I need you to be prepared.
Yeah.
And it sucks to have these type of conversations with people who genuinely feel like they aren't part of the problem. But baby, you are. You are. And if by any chance she survives these charges and comes home at the end of this, what the hell is going to change? Because she'll be coming back home to the same bullshit she's been running away from.
Yeah. I mean,
Y'all
that's
gonna have to get together.
that's the thing that like because I remember when I was coming up, that was one of the things my mom would always say, like, you gotta be careful, like getting into people's cars and who you ride with, who you hanging with.
Mm-hmm.
You can get caught up in a bad situation, and like like charges like that. Not aside from the fact that it being scary, because that's a life-changing charge, the defense of those charges is so ridiculous. Like it costs, like usually in moderately so, like a defense of like a murder charge is $100,000. Like if you hire an attorney, it's $100,000 case.
Yep. They've already priced it today. I was getting the text messages while I was in training.
Yeah. It's one of the most expensive, like it's crazy. The only thing more expensive than that is like maybe product liability cases and stuff like that. But criminal wise, that shit is insane. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they don't have no money for an attorney, so she'll definitely be assigned a public pretender tomorrow.
Public pretender.
Yeah, tomorrow's her first. That's what we call them out here. The public pretender.
Oh my goodness.
But I had to have a moment though. Like my sister-in-law really like, and I get it. I didn't try to beat her up too badly because I know she's down, and I told her from mother to mother, I don't know what this feels like for you. My kids barely leave the house. You know what I'm saying? Like my kids, and I'm not bragging by any means, but I was always told, you want to know everything about me, look and see what my friends are, who I hang out with. And I told that to my kids. Like, I'll know everything about who you are by who you choose to hang out with. And if you hang out with knuckleheads, I'm going to assume, you know what I'm saying? You're the third knucklehead. So my kids don't mind being the loners. You know what I mean? Hanging out with the weirdos, with the kids who get picked on and bullied, because those are safe choices for my children. They're not hanging out with the thugs who's cutting class and, you know what I'm saying, vaping in the bathroom or just doing stupid shit. And again, I'm not taking credit for how they've turned out or how they are, but I've also shared with my kids all the mistakes that I made at their age and younger. And I've also let them know, like, I just refuse to stay stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in a toxic environment, and one, I had to seek help. I've gone to anger management. I've had thousands of dollars worth of therapy. You know what I mean? That I've paid for, the state's paid for, private insurance is paid for. I've had life coaches. I've put in the work to not stay a product of my environment, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
Statistically, I probably should have been strung out on drugs in prison and have 18 baby daddies with 20 kids. But I decided that lifestyle ain't for me. I don't want it. I don't want no parts of it. I don't want to be anywhere near it. And because I tried my hardest to provide my kids a life they didn't have to recover from. And again, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I just told my daughter yesterday, baby, you are 22 and I'm still learning how to be a parent when it comes to you. And she laughed. She thought it was funny. Like, Mom, are you serious? No, I'm dead ass serious. Like, you didn't come with instruction manuals that said, when I cry and cough and twitch my eyebrow, do this. I'm still learning. And not necessarily at 22 am I fully parenting you, but even advice that you come to me with on life because you and your friends are going through this, or should I pick this job, or should I take these classes? Like, I'm still learning how to be a mother. And you're 22. Like, I don't have it down pat. And she's like, Mom, you haven't done a bad job. You should give yourself more credit than you do. There's a lot that, you know what I mean, you dealt with growing up that you just refused to allow me and my brother to go through, and I appreciate you for that. But at the same token, you've also, I'm the helicopter mom that I'm in your business. I know who your friends are. I know their parents. I got phone numbers and addresses. I'm just not sending you out willy-nilly to figure out the world on your own. But, and I am the mom when you want to go hang out, how you getting there, how you getting home, who's supposed to be picking you up and dropping you off. If it's me, I need to meet who you hanging out with and let their parents know that their kid's going to be in the car with me. Like, I'm interactive as a helicopter mom. But I'm not hovering 20 hours out of the day. I'm not wrapping my kids in bubble wrap as if they can't go out and, scrape their knee and get hurt and try to figure out what life is.
Right.
I give them just enough rope to show me that I did the job I was supposed to do in raising them and making them responsible individuals. And so what I had to tell my sister-in-law is you one, going to have to take accountability, and then two, you're going to have to start making the changes now. Because if she is to come home, something's got to change.
Right.
She can't come back to that same environment. And even worse, you would really want to change not just to benefit the oldest, you still have 3 other ones at home that you don't want to follow suit for their big sister.
Right.
But she was, because my asked her, like, well, have you told your family yet what's going on? And she's like, well, no, because they're extremely judgmental and I just can't deal with that right now. And I know this is going to sound jacked up, but maybe that's what you need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's something you might need to hear. And I hate to say it because you've been in delusional land for so long that you don't want to deal with your own reality of whatever it is, your own past and stuff that you should have healed from that you weren't fully healed from, because it's reflective in your parenting.
Right.
So it's time.
It'll come to light at some
ran
point.
long enough. Yeah, you ran long enough. And my brother got cussed out from here to holy hell. Like, Negro, you should know better. Like, we don't play none of that at all. And since you've been married, you've act like all your senses have gone out the window. It's time for the both of y'all. It ain't all on her because that's your child as well.
Right.
So, it's a family thing. We all banding together to try to help as much as we can. But at the end of the day, like, that's a situation that God's going to have to give us all strength for, because I'm running out of words. I don't even know how to be encouraging at this point.
Well, I mean, that's just the reality of it, is that, I've always taken a position that, you can get yourself into trouble. This is why I always encourage my kids not to get in trouble, because you can get yourself into so much trouble. There's absolutely nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is sit in the courthouse and in the audience with everybody else and hope for the best. I mean, and cry when they put that time on your ass. That's all I got.
Well, the intake officer did say my niece was not the aggressor in the situation. So it sounds good. I mean, in a way that I say that because it's not a good situation. At the end of the day, somebody's unalive. And I feel deeply for this man and his family. His kids don't have a dad. His wife no longer has a spouse. That's income in the household that they no longer have. Like, that's detrimental. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in knowing the actions that happened, that she wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. Yes, she was there. Yes, whatever went down and whoever's thought process amongst the 4 teenagers involved in the situation that thought that this was an okay idea definitely needs their ass whooped. And whoever pulled the trigger definitely needs to be punished,
Right.
even if it was my niece.
Yeah.
But it's not okay. And we
Right.
just had like my brother just called me Thursday night and was just like, "Are you serious? Does the offer still stand for her to come up there?" And I told him, "Look, my door is open, but this is what I need. And until y'all can provide me with documentation A, B, C, D, and E, the ball's in y'all court. Like, do your damn job."
Right.
This was Thursday night. Sunday night is when this happened.
Mm.
There's no urgency.
Mm.
You know, I could point my finger and say, if you mofos would have got up and did what the hell you had to do, she could have been on a flight Friday night. My mother would have drove her up Saturday morning. She wouldn't be in this situation.
Right.
But I can't say that. Because who knows? You know what I mean? I just feel like they damn sure didn't do their job, and it sucks. But not to harp on that topic, when it comes to adults, what's the word I'm looking for? When they separate from their children?
Alienation or
No,
no
like
contact?
cut them off.
Yeah.
No contact. Yes, that's what I was trying to get at. I think it's okay. I feel if children can go no contact with their parents, hell yeah, parents can go no contact with their children. Especially if their children are doing toxic behavior. Granted that they're adult children. Let me clarify that. Parents who try to do no contact and your children are still minors, you're fucking deadbeat. Sorry, calling it like it is. But if they're an adult and there's problems there, they're not respecting the boundaries, they're being disrespectful, you know what I'm saying? If I decided to become a gangbanger and or sell dope, I'm pretty sure my mother's not just gonna avidly let me come in and out of her house and let me come in and out around her. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I would expect her to cut me off. If I went in thinking I can cuss my mama out, yeah, I got another thing coming. Even at almost 65 with 2 bad hits, she gonna get the tussling. But once the tussle is over, it's a done deal. Like, I'll probably be blocked. Like, I would expect her to cut me off at that point.
Right.
But I just feel like families, it's time. It's time. Like, we in this century now of let's get some healing. Let's get some act right on all ends. You know what I mean? I know local art switch brought up on Saturday one of those YouTubers, or TikTokers, I should say, something Jenkins. I guess they're like living in a hotel and they got a bunch of kids, but she's constantly like recording her kids for content. Well, I had seen, God, I forgot her name, Swoop, what her channel is, but she did a whole deep dive into that particular TikToker. And what she was saying is how, I guess the girl was once married to somebody who's a very bad guy and has SA and CSA on his record, but she has 2 kids with him. And then after she's still legally married to the man, she got with Drew, who is her husband or her fiance now, and they have 5 kids together, and they were living in like a 1-bedroom with a ton of cats and filming everything for content. He don't work, and Like people are really complaining about this couple as they're putting all this content out on TikTok, vicariously on YouTube. And so I think they said because they got evicted and ended up having to go live in a motel. And like people in her comments were saying, well, why don't you just call your mom? You know, I'm pretty sure your mom will allow her grandkids to come stay there while you're trying to find another place. And the girl was like, I would never do that. Like my mom is toxic to me and this, that, and the third. So somebody interviewed the mom and the mom was just saying like, we call her out on her stuff and she don't like it.
Right.
Like she said she grew up this way and that's not true. It was this, it was that. Well, somewhere in the middle lies the truth. The truth of the matter is when your backs were against the wall with 5 kids, you rather go live in a motel room than call on family that can help you and are willing to help you if you picked up the phone and made the phone call. And I just feel like too many people run from the issue at hand instead of trying to heal. And I just feel like it's time for folks to stop running. And I love how Notes to Self 444 constantly at the beginning of her videos tells people to do your healing work, right? Whatever it is you need to heal from, whatever it is, the trauma in your life that you need to deconstruct, unwind, undo, people just need to start doing it. I ain't saying you got to jump in like a hurricane and attack every issue all at once, but one issue, one day at a time. And once you slowly start unraveling that one, you'll start learning a couple other ones as you're unraveling.
Right.
But to heal and get a lot of that shit just off of you, it feels amazing if you do the work right. You're going to cry. Yeah. It's going to hurt. You know what I mean? It's going to hurt. It ain't going to be easy. But once people start digging in and doing what they need to do to get better, it's worth it. So it ain't no time but the present to start. And I just feel like families need to heal. Because that toxic shit is not, it ain't cool. You know what I mean? And there's no other way I can say this. And even in the midst of my own, family going through all that they going through, like I still was like, y'all need to heal. Y'all need to get right. Y'all need to make some fucking phone calls. Find a damn therapist. Get your house in order. Those that are spiritual, get some God in your life.
Right.
Get some guidance. It's time. And I ain't saying that from a judgmental standpoint, because again, I'm far from perfect. Yes, I've worked on healing a lot of my childhood traumas, but guess what? I still have adult trauma. I still got PTSD. You know what I mean? I still got some stuff that it may take the rest of my life to truly heal from. But I see my therapist every other Thursday. Sometimes it's every damn Thursday because it just be one of them weeks where I gotta see her again. Sometimes it might be Tuesday and Thursday.
All right.
But I just feel like it's maybe I'm hitting the hammer on the head on the wrong topic, and I apologize if I'm getting off. But it's just time. Y'all folks start getting y'all shit together.
There you go. There you go. But thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you too. I did have a question for you, but I just lost it. But I'll email it to you. I'll get it to you. But yeah, I'll see you in the comments. Are you coming back on Thursday? What's the schedule this week?
Yeah, I'll be Thursday. I'll be back for the Speak Pipes, as well as we'll be doing another call-in show, kind of like tonight.
Ooh.
So
you getting ballsy there, James, with the call-ins multiple times a week.
Yeah,
I love
it.
Right? I have a couple
crazy.
Speak Pipes because I done watched a few, regarding Sister Wives because I ain't got nowhere else to vent about it. So I'm going to come vent. You're going to hear a few more from me this week, so just be prepared.
Awesomeness. But thank you so much for calling in. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much. Before we go, I want to make sure I recognize we had Darlene Hall gifted one My Take on Reality membership. Wants to keep the party going, so I want to make sure I recognize that. Let me give her a little something. Like I said, Darlene, we coming through on Saturdays. If you guys get the membership, you want to come through on Saturday, we have a members roundtable where I bring up everybody and we just have a full-on conversation from 12 o'clock. Usually it goes a little longer than 2, but we supposed to be over at 2, but it usually goes a little longer. It gets a little long in the tooth, but it's usually a really good conversation. We have a lot of interesting people in the My Take on Reality sphere. So thank you guys so much for that. But before we go, I want to make sure we do the hearts in the chat. The hearts in the chat is just an opportunity for us to be able to support one another, people in our group who may be going through some things, struggling with some things, or maybe they have things in their minds, things they're challenged with, because life in and of itself, one of the most difficult things to do in life is to face change. It could be a positive change. It could be a negative change. But the more difficult things that we have to do is to face change. So let's put some hearts in the chat for all those individuals who are facing certain things, struggles or whatever. Maybe they don't want to put their names out there, whatever the case may be, but we would just want to support them anyway. Also want to make sure we list some people that have sent their names in, or maybe I've come across like some of their stories or whatever. I wanted to put some hearts in the chat for them. Not going to share nobody's business, but here we go. Brittany Not Brittany, Jody Periscala, Carmel Cuties, Megatron, Miss Betty, Kathy Ferran, Allison Gaines, Marlo Peterson, and Team Ty, and Lit Mom. Put some hearts in the chat for those folks. Let me get some hearts in the chat as well. Fucking my computer is acting weird, which is not fun. Which is never fun. Where you at? Trying to get it. There we go. So throw some hearts in the chat too. All right. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I got to get downstairs. Bruh man got some cooking to do. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the callers who called in. Big shout out to the Mega Mod Squad. We have Lizzie B, Carmel Cuties, Brittany Not Brittany. Thank you guys for holding us down. I also want to recognize some folks who contributed to the tonight with the super chats as well as memberships. We had Darlene Hall, Negla 3, Behind Blue Eyes. Negla 3, she joined the membership tonight, rejoined. And then, of course, Jody Periscala with the mega super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let me give all you guys who hung in there a little something, something. And thank you guys so much. Again, you guys are making a channel, especially as we start to transition to different things, different conversations that expand past just the Brown family and sister wives. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Like I said, growing pains can be a little difficult, but hopefully you guys are finding it well worth it. All right. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been My Take on Reality. And I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.